not quite 19 hours of the race gone. We've had a mercifully code 60 free period, and on the assumption that it stays code 60 free to the end of the race, we're looking at something over 600 laps, which is something more than I was thinking it would reach at one point.
Yeah,
or
wow,
during,
they've really picked up the overall pace.
So they are picking up the pace.
Well, and you know, last year they were running the 205s.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
year they're running 3 seconds a lap faster than
That's
that.
right. So
pretty consistently.
Before the race, I was certainly looking at something in the order of 650 laps, which had gone way over last year's 628. But that was relatively spoilt. But I think we'll be up in the 610, possibly as high as 612. But
missed it by that much.
Yeah, they'll definitely miss last year's record, but they will be at least over 600, which is I don't know, it's nice just to have a round number to be aiming at. So you know, if you're working out how many laps you want to be fueling the car up for, they're currently on their 466th lap, and you want to be going up to be about 600. So that gives you another kind of measure of how far there is still to go in this race. You know, there's still another 130 laps to go around the 3.3 miles or 5.4 kilometre circuit.
Nick Damon has done that walk that Nick does so well.
Yes, up with the 98 leader in SP2, the McGann Trophy car, which is pretty impressive to get these things to run for more than an hour and a half, let alone pushing 24 hours. They are doing a little bit of rewiring or rerouting of wiring. I think things have shaken themselves loose, and they're slightly concerned about the running of the wires and making sure they're not going to catch anything or get particularly hot. The car itself looks in remarkably good condition, so I'm not sure this is a major issue or a tidying up. Yeah, what they're doing actually is they're tie wrapping back in a couple of sensors. I think what's happened is a couple of sensors have shook loose.
They have an 8-lap lead.
Yeah,
and it's probably given them some readings they weren't liking. So they've got these they weren't liking. The first thing they're obviously going to do is make sure the sensors aren't giving them a full signal. So it is just a very bit of a delicate tie wrap electrical work. No, nothing that looks major. As we know, electrics on racing cars can bring even the finest machines to a halt for no discernible reason and be completely impossible to trace.
Absolutely.
Don't I know it?
Remember we were talking about the 997 class battle as well. Well, the number 54 car has got going again. It's back out on the racetrack, and Paul Stubber is now at the wheel of the Australian Motorsport Services entered car. He has now just a lap and a half of an advantage on the other car in the class, or the next car up in the class, which is still the Sahila Yari driven Porsche, and then behind that is the number 40 car, except Sahila Yari is now in the pits with the number 41, and so Sahil then making his way gently down the pit lane at the end of his stint. So the second place 997 Porsche car in the pits, and it doesn't have so much of an advantage over the next car up, and in fact it's less than a minute and a half, so this could see.
And he's serving a penalty, Paul, as well.
Is it?
He's waved the penalty. This is the Porsche just arrived. He's now in the penalty. He was waved at dramatically by number 45.
Oh no, that's the fourth place car.
He's had his team representative has given a good old wave, and he's sitting there. The Porsche is steaming beautifully from 3 or 4 different points, the front brakes and from the rear engine cover. So he's had a hot run. This looks like a 30-second hold. Off he goes. I need to go to the weigh bridge, because the weigh bridge I haven't got back into work yet today.
Yeah, that's the fourth place car then making its way down the pit lane. Meanwhile, the second place car in the 997 class has already done its pit stop and is back on his way once again. So everything running smoothly in the 997 class. We've got, as I say, about 2 laps separating first from second in the class, and then just 1 lap between him and the number 40 car, except the number 40 car is ever so close to taking over second, isn't it, Jim? The car collection motorsport car, that's the number 40 Porsche in the 997, driven by 2 Kempers, Wolfgang and Sebastian.
And if things hold true to form, he will take over second position.
We're going to get a pit stop soon, guys, for the second place car, the 16 of course, Ferrari.
Glad you told me that, because I was just about to work out its number of laps.
They're all looking very excited, like they're going to go for it, but I've seen this before. People waited like this for 3 laps in the past earlier, but they are looking quite edgy. There's some tyre kicking, there's some that kind of a scrape on the ground, like a kind of a ball that people do to get an extra grip to put your tyre on. The nominated driver number 1 is waiting to get in.
Don't you have to be on a Lamborghini team to scrape
Very
the ground
good.
like a
That's
bull?
a very good point. This could be actually anti-copyright, couldn't it?
If it is driver number 1, that is Lorenzo Cavallio. So having done the second...
Cavallio mean horse.
Yes.
No, that's Cavallino.
Oh, because I think it could be a prancing horse it could have been, but
Yeah,
hey,
no, it was a good try.
Yeah, good
Cavallio is, however, Portuguese.
sold me on it.
And my Portuguese isn't good enough. He's a Brazilian, Lorenzo. But I think there's more N's in the word for horse.
Yes.
Anyway, it is due into the pits fairly shortly. I didn't see the car. The last stop this car made, of course, Nick, was the one when Marco Ciocci brought the car in with the spongy brakes, and very rapidly indeed they brought the car back out again, and we didn't really establish what
spunky brakes, very spunky brakes.
Yes,
the spungy brake.
That's why I said
had spunky brakes in my Lancia once, but that was just because the brakes were absolutely rubbish. And as they pitched me into a corner, and I remember I did a track day at Castle Coombe, and the brakes faded after half a lap, and my attempt to slow it down the gearbox resulted in me doing a 720 and stopping about less than about 15 yards away from the barrier as the number 16 comes in.
He's in the pit lane, coming to your feet. Move your toes.
Then move there.
That was
hoppiness, which is quite amazing. So we've already lost the front tyres. A bit of a problem with the front right. They've lost the wheel nut, had a mind of its own, and now it's not seating properly, but he's got it in. So that's going to cost him a bit of time on that tyre. Mickey Salo stalks away. Quite happy.
That's
looks like this will put the 24 in second position because it's a stop. The damage to the rear end that was done overnight is still there and looking very ragged indeed, really. They've not bothered cleaning it up at all.
Certainly at the front, on the left side there, Nick, it was front tyre going to the rear tyre. Not quite sure if that's what they did on the right-hand side.
The whole front splitter is split as such, with a big horizontal gash across it. That car has been well used. I expect that would not be able to be advertised as one careful owner, but it could be several fast owners.
That was the car, remember, Nick, that Lorenzo Carse drove into the side of a Mercedes at some point in the middle of the night.
With an overtaking manoeuvre that made Claudia Hertgen laugh.
Yes, that's right.
I'm going to try
I'm
going to try and grab a quick word with Mika, who's just taking off his hat. And see if I can have a more formal conversation when I had the toilet with me. Mika, sorry, just grab you as you... So, Mika, another fun hour at the helm of the Ferrari?
Yeah, it's very slippery somehow out there. It was good grip over night time, and now somehow it's sliding all over the place, and it's just it's not endurance race, it's a sprint race. It's absolutely qualifying lap every lap, and really you have to push like hell if you want to keep up with the guys.
I think when Marco came out, he was complaining that the brakes had gone spongy. How were the brakes on your run?
Yeah, we changed the pads and they're fine now.
Thanks, Mika. So the man who's used to doing sprint races, of course, is a many Grand Prix starter. Of course, the man who could have won the German Grand Prix if he hadn't very, very nicely abdicated the lead to Eddie Irvine during the 1999 season when he was subbing for the Michael Schumacher after he broke his leg in Silverstone.
That's Nick Damon in the Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane, keeping us in the know. You're listening to the 8th running of the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai on 87.6 FM, Autodrome FM. Just under 5 hours remaining in the 8th running of the 24 Hours of Dubai, the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. And joining our Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane team now, after a brief respite, is Bruce Jones. Welcome back, Bruce.
Thank you. Fired up by coffee, I'm ready to go on for a little bit longer.
There you go.
It's amazing the difference it makes, and also, just as you say, a change of scenery. I know you managed to just pop out of the commentary box, a lungful of air, and you feel a bit better. But it's all
a little light breakfast and a pit stop, and I'm good to go.
It's all the little things you spot around the pit lane. You need when you see it with fresh eyes. And I was just coming in and I spotted. Maybe you can tell me why he was up there, but Mark Goddard, the team manager of the Craft Racing Aston Martin team, seemed to be loitering around race control. Maybe Paul might understand why that might be.
Oh, I think we just had another brake marker point dust.
I can't offer any intelligence on that one, I'm afraid, Bruce. But as and when the car next comes into the pits, we'll see whether or not it serves a penalty.
Okay.
If it does serve a penalty, you'll know that Mark Goddard's protestations to the race control didn't go well. And if it comes straight through, we'll know that there is mercy up there in the race admin block.
So, just under 5 hours remaining, 4 hours 56 remaining to be exact. You're listening to RadioLeMans.com, powered by Nissan, or here around the racetrack on 80. Boy, there's a Freudian slip. 87.6 FM, the Autodrome FM. 5D RAM penalty for me on that one. The Racing Divas are back in the pits. The 121 car with a commanding lead in the A3T category. What's going on down there, Nick?
They have come in. They've had a very standard stop and driver change, but they have done a bit of a fluid top-up. All obviously it's been a bit dry in various areas, and everything going absolutely well. A fantastic performance by the female drivers and a great team. And
what a great comeback too.
Well, yeah, they came back from that problem where they lost a lot of time by being unlucky with having a problem, and being more unlucky about where they had it. They've come back brilliant. One of the things that's been nice, every time you walk there, is there's a huge amount of mutual support from all the other drivers. There's not like kind of like, yeah, well done, Derek type thing. It's all backs up, cuddles, and they all the drivers are staying near the car and near the front of the garage the whole time to kind of wheel the machine on for the entire duration of the race.
So we've got a new second place car now, with that Ferrari having made its pit stop, and just to confirm, it was indeed Lorenzo Carvalho going back out into the race, and it will be now interesting to compare his lap times with those of firstly Abdelaziz Al Faisal, and then seeing who the Saudi Falcons put into the car next, because I think it's probably Jörg Muller's turn, or is it? No, it's Dirk Muller's turn again first, isn't it? And Dirk Muller and Carvalho will then be going head to head, and we'll see how that battle works its way out. We've got about another 15 or 20 minutes or so until the number 1 Black Falcon makes its pit stop, and we're expecting that to be a slightly longer pit stop for that brake change. And finally, as the substitution on my left, information for those who are counting jokers is that the Audi R8 LMS, the number 81 car from the Dragon Speed team, has used up all its jokers. So number 81, I think it was Enzo Potalicia who used most of them. I won't accuse him of having used all of them, but he certainly used a good number in the latter part of the night. And so number 81 has used up all his joker laps now.
Okay. So the Saudi Falcon then just back into second place with Prince Abdulaziz behind the wheel. Jerome Blakemolin still leading. That's still a great run, isn't it, by the Porsche in fourth place to be the best of the AM cars and sniffing around the tailpipes of the pro cars ahead of them. Stefan Mucker, however, closing in on that fourth place, trying to make it a top 4 again for the pro cars. I heard you saying, Paul, whilst I was across the other side, that you think 600 laps is still attainable.
Yes, obviously provided that we don't get a sudden downpour of rain, or what's probably more likely, a code 60. Yeah, we're on for, I suggested, between 610, 612. We've managed to get 28 and 29 laps out of the last 2 hours. I'm still waiting for the most recent bulletin to be issued. Which reminds me that I also need from the most recent bulletin, don't I, the fastest lap, which was set by Stefan Mucker, wasn't it, just as we were changing over after breakfast. I wonder if this one here will give me that piece of information. Stefan Mucker's fastest lap time, for those who like to make a note, isn't on that piece of paper. Right, okay, we'll have to look at another piece of electronic paper.
Piece of electronic paper?
Yes, there's a lot of electronic paper in the commentary box today.
I see. I'm seeing nothing.
Having spoken of the person who's used 10 jokers, there's also one who's now on 9, and that's the number 7 car, currently in 8th place, the second of the FAT Porsches. Thomas Fleischer is currently driving the car. They have a slightly harder reference lap time, in the sense that they get pinged every time they go under 2 minutes 7. Because they're running a slightly more favourable set of setup on that car, and every single one of their laps has been less than a second underneath the 2 minute 7. So
that's a waste.
You can be sure they're all, well, I suspect that it's a proper gentleman team, and they're all going occasionally underneath the minimum reference lap time by accident, as it were, whereas the times that were being set by particularly Potolicchio and the other drivers as well in the Dragon Speed Audi R8 were done, shall we say, with a little bit more aplomb.
There's about to be a change for second place in the 997 category, as Soyela Yari is catching Sebastian Kemper, the 41 Porsche in third, the 40 in second. They're 22nd and 23rd overall. That
would be a change back, John, because they've just had a pit stop. So the Sohaila Yari car was in the pits, and that was what enabled Kemper to get past in the number 40 car.
Meantime, further up the field, the Aston Martin number 15 has come in, Bruce.
Indeed it has. Stefan Mucker has climbed out. Darren Turner, not long ago, eating his breakfast, so he's on top of an air hose at the moment. Now he's in the car, but we wanted to look out and see if there was any penalty for that car, because I did spot Mark Goddard up by race control, but no penalty seen as yet, and Darren Turner underway.
Nick Dearman is further down the pit lane.
Yeah, up with the Saudi Falcons, and in comes a 24. Out gets Abdul Al Fazil. I'm just trying to see who's hopped in. Let's see if I can wander around and get a bit of a side helmet shot. It's that Jorg has got back in again. I'm not sure. It's a bit of a hard one. So I think that's it. My money, actually, that's Jorg that's got back in the car again. It'll be Jorg or Dirk, in fairness.
Yeah, on the rotation it should be Dirk, I think. Okay.
Dirk drove after Jorg, so it should be Jorg next.
Cavallo, by the way, the question that stumped Jim Paul and Nick earlier, is Portuguese for oak tree.
So is he related to Jacques Nicolet at all?
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Racer.
Or who?
Billy Oakes used to race in Formula Ford in the mid-80s.
Excellent. That from Tim, who's back on duty in the MCR in London.
Did he do it with Google, or did he just happen to know? Or did he have a Portuguese dictionary on the bookshelf?
He's almost certainly got a Portuguese dictionary on the bookshelf. Oh, sorry, he's in Birmingham.
In the pantry somewhere.
The leading SP2 car with Max Brahms at the wheel. Well, Max Brahms, when it came in, having had a 21-minute stop for an electrical problem, the McGann Trophy, 17th position overall. Now, trying to decide whether he may have just lost the lead there to the Corvette of Peter Bonk as it goes into the... it didn't go into the fuel stop, it went straight out again. And there goes Peter Bonk through and takes the lead in SP2. So there is another change for class position and 17th overall. Sayela Yari, by the way, has gone through into second.
They brought the car in and they went through a whole bunch of electrical lines. They were apparently reseating some sensors and just basically doing some electrical housekeeping. They had about a 6-lap lead, so it took them a while to get that done. But they are, as you say, now in second place.
Crankshaft sensor, Nick seems to think may have been the issue in the end. 2:10.2, fastest lap of the race for the leading 997 class Porsche. Paul Stubber at the wheel of what is now the 20th position car.
And apropos of fastest laps, we were never able to tell you the fastest lap time that Stefan Mucker set to the nth degree. It was a 1 minute 59.472 for those of you with photographic memories or want to write it down. 1:59.472 for Stefan Mucker. It was set on lap 459, which was at about 8:10 this morning, and that's car number 15, the Craft Racing AMR Aston Martin.
Darren Turner just on his outlap in that car at the moment in 6th position, 5th in class of course. Where is the challenge coming from to the #1 Mercedes-Benz?
Lady Luck.
Well, the Falcons and AF Corsa have both fallen by the wayside. It looked for a while as if Corsa might be able to at least hold on to them during the final darkness hours and into the dawn.
Right now they've got their...
really cost them dearly.
Right now they've got their jackboot on their necks and they aren't letting up.
They are pushing. They are definitely pushing.
However, with a 5-lap lead, that's still not unassailable if they have a problem.
10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And we just saw the 98 car take 8 minutes for a pit stop and lose the lead. So
they have got brake service to do.
Well,
right.
They've told us they've got brake service to do. But if you wanted to lull your rivals into a false sense of security, would you maybe tell them, or would you tell the press and then get them to tell everybody? But they've certainly made one, and it was made before half. I think it was just after half distance, wasn't it? It was just before, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that pad change, which was only a pad change, it wasn't a disc change, was made at, no, it was just before, at 1 o'clock in the morning. So 11 hours in. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually ran it through to the finish without them, John.
Another change in class position as the Nissan of Wolfgang Reip goes into 2nd place in SP3, completing quite a remarkable comeback for that car, just taking over that position of 23rd overall as Wolfs Silvestre has had a pit stop for the 141 machine and just returns to the circuit. In fairness, Wolfgang owes us a pit stop relatively shortly. He's been out for an hour and 21 minutes in the RJN Nissan GT Academy Nissan.
The Ginetta.
The Ginetta 143, the Optima Motorsport car.
Yeah, the yellow one. It's had all sorts of problems. Flick Haig's just brought it in. They're looking at the front left corner that has the shattered headlight cowling, whether it's a vibration or something, but she's turned the engine off, sitting... I think she's actually worried about the steering, to be honest. shaking the front wheel or trying to. So yes, this has been the race of setbacks. As Joe Osborne said last night, they got the car flying last year. This year, not so well. Good in between, but for Flick Haig, she's sitting still when she wants to be out on the circuit.
The 127 just wombled in, literally, the Nissan. It's patched up as it is, but it had a problem on the front left. I think it may have just been a puncture, sorry, on the front right. And it came in very wobbly. They're now checking the front suspension, having a look. The tyre is completely cut, but in fact the rim is completely cut. So they must have got a stone in there that eventually wore away the inside of the alloy. It looks like that's a wheel failure and puncture, but everything else seems relatively okay on the cars that basically have really been in the wars, both of them.
You're up to date and in the know with the Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane team. Nick Damon, and before that Bruce Jones, 87.6 Autodrome FM around the circuit and Motor City. Beautiful early morning here in Dubai for the 8th running of the Dunlop 24 Hours. Radio Le Mans going through the night and into the morning, powered by Nissan, and a decent breakfast, it has to be said. Catering being fantastic again. Thank you to Creventic for organising it.
No bacon.
You don't get bacon here.
I know. While you were napping, there was a report of bacon sardines in the pit lane.
Yeah, no, I heard that.
Oh, did you?
I was.
Oh, that was right before you went.
Yeah. Sorry, Bruce.
I might have been hallucinating, you know, the small as the morning. What I fancy in front of my eyes, you know, but anyhow, it was a passing thought, and I've since, as you said, John, been up in crew catering with you, and very fine it was too. And it's great actually to have all the teams sitting eating together.
It's all part of the atmosphere that is the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai and the 24-hour series.
Yeah.
Jeroen Blekemolen in the #1 Black Falcon Mercedes. Can't be far away from his pit stop now. I wasn't actually here for his last stop when he took the car over from Bernd Schneider. But I've no doubt that Sean Edwards, in fact I can see Sean Edwards' day-glow red helmet down there waiting to welcome that Mercedes in.
Come in first. I think #2 will come in first because Sean's standing to one side and the #2 replacement driver is waiting. But I think they will be literally as #2 pulls out, #1 will pull in. Sort of reverse of what we saw in the middle of the night, but they all seem pretty calm around here.
Yes, the #2 is actually due in about a matter of seconds, whereas the #1 has about 40 seconds. So looking out to see where that #2 Mercedes.
Swapping them round. They're swapping them round. They're going to, I think, send #2 on round for another lap. By the looks of things.
Well, no, in fact, #1's got himself ahead of #2 is what's happened. I think. Yes.
Nick Damon?
Yeah, I was on the pit wall doing a bit of nosiness, and #2 just got a stop go, speeding in the pit lane of 32 seconds for some reason. So I think what's happening is they've now dispatched one of the Black Falconeers to go and stand at the end with the stopwatch. Sent the #2 round for an extra lap so they can actually sort out this stop-go penalty.
Absolutely right, Nick, because #1 is now making his way down into the pit area, and
I do like the Black Falconeers. It does, though, make me think of a little headdress with sticky up sort of.
Or one of those people who wears a very thick glove on his hand and holds a little field mouse in his hand and goes click, click.
That would be a falconer, not
That's
a
what he said.
falconeer. A falconeer works at Disney.
Yes.
Oh, it's so quick, isn't it?
Wow.
Away he goes again.
Less than 40 seconds from crossing the pit line to pulling out. Outstanding.
So Yari continues his charge towards the front of the 997 field. He's still 3 laps in arrears of Paul Stubber. In fact, he's not really, is he? He's 2 and a bit. 5 minutes and 37 seconds. The gap between first and second, and another 1 minute 15 back to third. So 54, 41 and 40 together on the timing screens are the first, second and third in the 997 class.
No sign, though, of any brake change being done by the Falconeers. If that's what we've got to call the Black Falconeers, I should say, as opposed to the Saudi Falconeers. The number 1 car. Here comes the number 2 now in for its stop. And driver change as well being prepared there as Steve Jans hops out of the car.
Scoring is showing the 16 having gotten by the 24.
Jerome Blakemore is down in the pit lane. Let's go to Bruce.
Jerome, another good stint. They're still changing car number 2. You managed to change the sequence of the pit stops there. I think 2 was supposed to come in first.
Yeah, no, everything is going to plan, so we're pretty happy. Car was a bit hard to drive. I think we used the wrong compound. I was on the soft tire, which is actually for the night. It was pretty cold when I got in, but the temperature went up a lot. So in the beginning it was good, but in the end of the stint I was just playing it safe, trying to keep the car on the track. But the car's working fine, so we're looking good.
Yeah, the hours are starting to count down now, but it just takes one little trip up, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's still a lot can happen. You can have a failure in the car, but the moment it feels very solid. And of course, there's traffic still, so you have to be very careful not to do anything stupid.
Okay, very well done, Jerome. Sean Edwards now in the car. So, as you say, the Black Falconeers, to me, they sound like a team of skydivers. That's the image I get in my mind.
Very good.
So change in position now with the Ferrari back into second place, number 16, the AF Corsa Ferrari. Lorenzo Carvalho, the Oak, is back into second place with Jörg Müller. Just to confirm that it is Jörg and not Dirk, because we were having a quick debate about it, but Bruce Put is right. Jörg Müller is at the wheel of the number 24, and having got up to speed after his pit stop, he's back into third place, and we can go down to Nick Damon, who's got the fastest man around the Dubai Grand Prix circuit with him.
Stefan, first of all, congratulations. You've got the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, the car was running great. I mean, it's happy hour time, so the sun is going out, and you can see actually something that's very nice. So far I've done just laps in the night, and it was the first stint in daytime, so really pleased with that. The car's running great. He was doing a good job, so we showed the pace from the Aston. That's important for us to show the pace, and yeah, so we're happy.
Sixth at the moment. What's the best result you can hope for from this position?
Yeah, I mean, we're still hoping to get probably to P5. It will be difficult. The gap is already quite big, but we try our best.
Thanks, Stefan. So Stefan Mucker there. And by the way, I think the Black Falconeers are a 1930s variety troupe.
You would. I don't think we need to say any more about that. Just look forward to your meditation, your yoga, and your.
I will purge my mind of these terrible thoughts. do you think it's the same sort of thing that could purge Jim's mind of bacon?
No, that's impossible.
No, that's imprinted. That was imprinted at birth.
Good morning to Darren Cox, the Global Motorsports Manager, Director, Guru of Nissan.
Top chat.
And he's just woken up about half an hour, 40 minutes ago. Great fight back from the 127 car. Mark Schulzitsky, who had that very bizarre incident when running in second place in class, hit an errant wheel and tyre combination, necessitating a rebuild. Now back up into third in class. Was for a moment into second, but they've just taken their pit stop, so Wolf Sylvester goes back ahead of them. Well, that's a very, very tight battle, and will come down to where the pit stop strategy plays out at the end of the race. There's a couple like that, because in A2, 57 and 105, the 57 is the Honda Integra, the Lap 57 racing team. Rupesh Chenka Chaneka, excuse me, from Sri Lanka. Leading at the moment by only by 2.5 minutes from Mark Hunter in the number 105, which is the yellow and green Gloiner Motorsports Team 2 Clio Cup car. Now, Jörg Muller has gone missing, and he should have come round. There may be a problem for the 24 Saudi Falcons.
Yes, I was still puzzling over how Carvalho had managed to get through into second place, and I think you're absolutely right.
I think that car stopped somewhere.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, John. Although it may just have been...
In fact, we're hearing from another set of eyes that a tow truck has been used to recover that car.
Yeah. No, it's gone somewhere.
It's in the third sector, so I expect to see him popping up into the pit lane anytime soon. But that is a disaster for Saudi Falcons.
Here it is.
That's on the onboard camera in the team garage coming down to turn 14. And the silver Ford pickup truck has the car, which looks pretty intact. Certainly all four corners are on. It's not a puncture. He's being towed too quickly. He's still got the green light on the front of the car. It may well be that is a transmission problem. Bruce, activity, I presume, down in the Saudi Falcons garage.
Wrong again, I'm afraid. Very little, certainly not from the key members. Nobody in a fluorescent jacket bearing number 24 on the back is doing a thing, and yet he's only just coming up to the very end of the lap. He'll be here instantly, so I fear he's told them something over the radio that suggests it's time for coffee break for all of them. That will be a big shame, because that's been one of the quickest cars. His lap before this was a 2 minutes dead, so he was pretty much straight onto it out of the pits, as Claudia Hurtgen had been earlier. And the truck pulling car 24 has now come under the sort of the gantry out to the podium. It's but a few garages away from here. There's no visible sign of any problem, but no one here is really rushing to do a great deal.
The team clustering around the car at... yeah, it doesn't have the sense of knowing exactly what they're going to do about it. The bonnet comes up, and I can...
But Jörg Muller's staying put. The bonnet is up, as Paul Trustwell's just said. The bonnet's going down again. I think it's about to be pushed into the garage, though, I'm afraid.
And there doesn't seem to be any urgency.
No, that's a worry, isn't it?
It wasn't from the outset. I'm sure he's told them the sorry tale. They've checked under the bonnet, found he's quite right. Perhaps something no longer attached where it should be in terms of drive. So that is a big shame. That was a quick car all race. Yes, it had its brake concerns, as it had a couple of disc changes and really seemed to get through. But on its best laps, it was right up there. And only just in the past hour or so has the car's best lap been bettered by Stefan Muka in the number 15 Aston Martin. So I fear we're striking one of the top three out of this race. But let's never say never. Let's hope car 24 can get back in the action. So now it's down to 1 and 16 for glory at the moment.
And this is going to put one of the AM cars, the leading AM car, on the overall podium.
Well, for a short while, because Takayuki Aoki in the J-Lock Lamborghini is closing down on Carlo Lussa at a rate of knots, and he's less than 50 seconds behind them. We could yet see the J-Lock Lamborghini.
I let my rooting for the underdog get the best of me there.
Well, having said that, you know, given the scepticism with which our highly well-informed listeners and viewers hold the listeners and viewers hold the J-Lock car, getting them up to third on the podium might complete their rehabilitation in some respects.
Yes.
And it's also not beyond the realms of possibility, bearing in mind there's little under 4.5 hours to go, John, that Aston Martin is not beyond the range of the podium either, because it is but a lap behind the Lamborghini, and it's been lapping very fast. Certainly when Darren Turner's behind the wheel, and when Stefan Mucker is behind the wheel, it goes even faster. So you know, that Aston Martin is not to be counted out of the podium positions either, John.
I can't disagree with that, Paul. And having taken the fastest lap of the race in the hands of Stefan Mucker in the early morning. Now, Nick Damon has got news of the Saudi Falcon BMW.
Yeah, just had a quick chat with Faisal bin Laden, of course, one of the leading lights behind the Saudi Falcons. Very, very chastened, saddened Faisal. He's not had a lot of luck this weekend, it has to be said. You're, as you said, going like a train, and then the dreaded oil warning light came on, and unlike us, who might ignore that for a while, get to the petrol station and buy a litre of Castrol or Shell, when the oil warning light comes on the BMW race engine, you're told to stop it immediately, and they tow it back to the garage.
Other high-performance oils are available, including Mobil 1, which is what would be going into my car.
The
Valvoline.
The thing that I'm slightly puzzled about is where all the oil pressure went, because normally it goes all over the tarmac. But I mean, I haven't seen any sign of oil down, and nobody seems to have fallen off on it. So it may well be that, that there's some kind of overflow pressure catch tank that just catches it all and saves it going on the track, which is extremely good news for everybody else. Of course, because occasionally when you do get these types of sudden terminal failures, you get a problem for everybody else. But it would seem that BMW has a double safety mechanism, and even if the oil's not where it should be, it's not on the track either. But it's now beginning to drop down.
Unless it's in the bottom of the cylinders, of course.
Well, it's another possibility, yeah.
It would...
Did you get to go to the racetrack when you were that young?
Probably not quite that young. I went to Croft, although it wasn't a racetrack in those days. I went for a steam traction engine rally.
Oh, okay, rally.
Let's find out. It was 1857, just before 7 o'clock. Let's go down to Nick Damon and get in the know with the Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane report. He's Jörg Muller.
Yeah, well, he was going so well, and then it just stopped, to take it.
Yes, you're right, it stopped.
What actually happened? Was there a mechanical clunk, or was it just an electrical problem? What happened?
Well, it stopped. I mean, yeah, at the moment the engine is not running, so we hope we can find a problem and solve it. But at the moment, I need to have to go to get pulled in, so yeah. You need to ask a technician, I think. So,
was there any warning at all? I mean, you just put in a 2-minute flat lap, so I take it was a kind of catastrophic failure in that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear anything. I died, and I started on the circuit. I smelled a little bit of something like carbon before, or something like wires. I don't know. So let's. I think it could have a good pace. I think I was on a good pace. I was something like 2-3 seconds quicker than the others, but yeah, these things happen in 24-hour races, and I did already a few ones, and it's always sad, but that happens.
That's very bad luck. Thanks, Dr. Jorg. Thank you.
This isn't their race, is it? The Saudi Falcons. Certainly in the few years that we've been here, they've had nothing but bad luck. They haven't. They have had the pace both years we've been here. They've run a variety of cars. Remember, they swapped into the cars that had been the class of the field in 2000. Where are we now? 13, so 12, 11. The cars that won the race snagged the services of Team Schubert, who'd won with the Team Need for Speed guys. Edward Nordstrom and the rest of the guys. And Tommy Milner.
Milner was in that group, wasn't he?
Yeah, because didn't he win?
He won the ring. He won here.
I think he won class at Sebring, did he? Or did he win class at Le Mans?
Class at Le Mans, because that was his first year with Corvette. No, it was the year before he went to Corvette, because he was still with BMW. So it would have been Sebring.
He had a great year that year. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, you have to say, though, that the Black Falcons, the two Mercedes, have seen, and I won't use the word bulletproof, but because they clearly haven't been bulletproof, but they just seem to have belt braces, second pair of braces, and so that when something does go wrong, the trousers are still safely in place.
Yeah.
Or as my neighbor says, belt and braces.
And more braces, and more braces.
But no, it is just one of those things that they just seem to have that extra little bit of cover for everything. You know, it would be as if you were playing against a football team that has 15 men on the pitch somehow. It's just that there's always an extra person hanging around with an extra set of spare parts. So they've still got a long way to go, of course. Their lead is 3 laps, but that 3 laps is 6.5 minutes. John Cena,
It's the 14.
It's the 14, which is down in 14th position. Went very wide for Olivier Barrian, who went very wide at 14 and then came into turn 14, that was.
He meant to all along.
Yeah, of course he did. And then came in I was just keeping out of everybody's way. That's what he's going to say. I'm not sure that was true. There is the onboard from the Saudi Falcons.
Because he sure looked like it was a big catch.
Now the J-Lock Lamborghini up into 4th position in the pit lane, Bruce Jones.
Yeah, well, they seem to have many pit stops, but not all of them involve stopping for the team to have a go on the car, back for refueling. So J-Lock straight through. That's the second time I've seen that since the sun came up.
Now, there is a theory which I have been propounding that is a good way to go racing, because you either do one thing or the other, and putting them end to end, as it were, doesn't really save you very much. Yes, it saves you the time of not going at 60 kilometres down the pit lane, but other than that, 40 kilometres an hour down the pit lane, I stand corrected. But it doesn't really save you anything else, and I've been saying all along that J-Lock Lamborghini has had more pit stops than anybody else, but I'm very interested to see at the end of the race what their total time in pit was, because I suspect it's not going to be a lot longer than anybody else out there, even though currently they're two pit stops more than the Aston Martin, 4 pit stops more than the race leaders, and a full 6 pit stops more than the A6 AM car, which is in 3rd place in the class overall.
Trouble for the 81 Audi R8, a right rear flat tire. Enzo Potolicchio behind the wheel of that car, currently 12th place overall and 5th place in A6 AM.
This is the car that's run out of jokers and run out of
right rear rubber,
right rear
too.
Rubber, yeah.
Say that 4 times fast. So closing in on 4 hours to go now, just less than 4 hours and 20 minutes.
That's
remaining
amazing.
In the, it's gone by fast, hasn't it?
It really has. It really has. You know what makes a big difference here? I realised this when I was sitting having my baked beans. Just to forewarn you there, gentlemen.
Move over.
Breakfast. Why are you pushing me out the door, Jim? Into a hermetically sealed room. One thing I think that keeps us going here, Paul, more than perhaps anywhere else where we do 24-hour races, is that we can see the circuit, and we can see all of the circuit. So, you know, something sort of dies down a little bit, and you get the chance to have a look out and look around and see what's catching your eye, and even in the dark we can see what's going on.
See 2 cars together, go look and see if it's a bad. Yeah, there's something to keep the interest level up.
And you can see cars all the time, rather than, you know, even in the darkness you can follow a car, roughly speaking, around most of the track. And into the pit lane comes another little clutch of cars. Bruce Jones with the Audi R8.
Yes, unfortunately, car 81, you reported it had a right rear puncture. Bodywork damage is there, but it's actually only the very, very bottom edge of the rear bodywork. So no masking tape is called for, no duct tape, and it will go underway. No change of driver, so Enzo Potolicchio will carry on. But we've certainly seen far, far worse damage from the many, many cars coming in sporting punctures. I guess maybe that happened towards the end of the lap.
Thank you to Adrian Romano, at Adrian Romano HK, for your kind words on Twitter, at Specutainment, at Radio Le Mans, and still a healthy number of people posting at radiolemans.com on the forum. Direct your attention, if you're not already there, to 24hdubai.com. Some very complimentary comments about the website, and delighted to say that we bumped into a couple of the organisers at the crew catering area where they were eating as well, and we're able to pass on some of your comments and your suggestions as well. And I do think it's important to say, I said this earlier on in the darkness hours, but I do think it's important to reiterate the guys at Creventic are very much open to suggestions, so everything is always a work in progress for them. There's no stopping. I put it to them at breakfast time that one of the reasons that you, the fans, are enjoying the kind of information that the website brings is that it's put together by a group of guys who, yes, are organising motor races, but having to be as enthusiastic about the sport as you are. And basically the answer I got from them is, well, we put the website together with the features on that we'd like to see as fans, and you can't knock that, really.
Indeed, though, but one comment I have to that is that very often people who are that close can't take the step back and see what it is that we, the fans, want to see. And either they've got people who are giving them suggestions and they're taking those on board, or they've got some people who are able to take that step back. And I know a lot of people involved closely in the sport who haven't ever been able to take that step back because they're too closely involved.
Yes.
And of course, time is always of the essence, and doing these things takes time, takes thought and takes consideration. Quite often takes development time as well with things concerning websites and software.
Money.
And when you talk about development time, you're talking about money.
Well, and the thing is, you've then got to balance that, particularly on a company, and this is again no detriment to Creventic. This is not a huge organisation. This is a small group of very dedicated people. You've got to then make the balance, as we do sometimes at radiolemans.com. Do you spend money on A that stops you spending money on B when B is putting a race on, or for us putting on a commentary service? It would be very nice to have a feature, but if that costs 5, 10, 15,000 pounds, euros or whatever, that's money that you can't spend doing your core business, and you've got to balance off the return on investment and the lost opportunity of that cash going into your core business.
Lorenzo,
sorry, Jim, go ahead.
Now, the other aspect of that, like in the other thing that I do, the post-production business, billable hours.
Yes.
Do you do something that's over here, or do you do something that is billable hours? And sometimes that's a very hard decision to make.
Yeah. And you can be sure, I will say this now on behalf of the guys at Creventic, you can be absolutely sure that the amount of hours that they put in are not remunerated in the normal manner.
Nor the hours you and Eve put in, or
it just doesn't work like
Worst thing that ever happened to my golf game was starting my own business.
So congrats to the guys and the ladies again from Creventic, and as I say, if you've enjoyed it, let them know for sure, but also let the sponsors know that you were impressed with them. There's a very spangly jacket in the pit lane.
Is Bruce wearing it, or Nick wearing it?
It is in the Divas garage, so That needs an interview, that, Nick. Oh yeah, save it when he's on television. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's not too far away.
Darren Turner's closing in on the Lamborghini, which has just made that fuel. Well, it's helped by the fact that the Lamborghini has just made that fuel-only stop. The number 19, the Takayuki Aoki driven J-Lock Lamborghini, which is now up and running at full speed, but Darren Turner has got the bit between his teeth. He's less than half a minute behind, which means he can't actually see it, but he'll better hear it in the radio and see him on his pit board being counted down, and trying his best to close in on the Japanese driver. Darren's got a fair bit of fuel on board the Aston as well, so he'll have at least 40 minutes of being able to chase down. So we'll keep an eye on that one. They're running currently 4th and 5th, the Lamborghini in 4th and the Aston Martin in 5th. And with the demise of the BMW, the Saudi Falcons BMW, Gareth Jones, who's currently behind the wheel of the Jones family Mercedes, is up into 6th place overall, still 2nd in the AM class. But he's going to need a bit of luck if he's going to get any further up anywhere, because the gap is more than 3 laps to Darren Turner ahead of him.
Yeah, 6.5 minutes.
And that's really beyond, well, not beyond any hope, because things can go wrong. As you can probably ask about 22 or so members of the grid now for whom things have gone wrong.
Mark Schulzitsky in the Nissan is really hunting down Wolf Sylvester. They've both had pit stops relatively recently. Mark's been in the car for 23 minutes, Wolf for 34, and he took 5 seconds out of the 2nd place SP2 car last time around. I'm just waiting for him to go across the line. The 40 Porsche 997 has got between them on the timing and scoring screens.
What a great confidence builder this has got to be for these young GT Academy drivers out here in this field of guys who are, no matter what their skill level, they all have experience.
Yeah,
not a lot of rookies here. And I mean, there are some, but not. And some of the rookies are very experienced.
Yeah.
But they're able to go out there, and then they can be coached and look at that timesheet and say, "Look, there are this many guys that you are a lot faster than." So,
I think that the essence of the GT Academy here, coming here, and this was the original prize, let's not forget, for the GT Academy, was that it would be a friendly environment, a great place to learn, and perhaps not as intense as some of the other 24-hour races. That was 2009. I'm not sure that's the case now, in all honesty. And, you know, we've seen how tough it is out there. There is the 148 of Trevor Knight. That's the SP3 leader, the Lotus Evora going round. You know, when you've got people like Shane Lewis, when you've got people like Darren Turner, Sean Edwards, and just the guys who are in the car at the moment, Enzio Podoliccio, looking further down, Soyela Yari in his 997. You know, it's all of a sudden since 2009, I think, just changed its character a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the trick for Creventic and for the event in general is being able to maintain that level without letting it go too far up in the sky, because all of a sudden, you know, you spoil your own party if you invite too many people to it, don't you? If you see what I mean.
Especially if you haven't ordered enough food.
Especially if there's not enough bacon.
Joker time again for Atapto Racing. Arkin Arka, the Turkish driver in the number 28 car, just doing a 2 minutes 04 at the wheel of
so he needs to have done what's his bogey time?
His bogey time is a 2 minutes 05.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not Turkish delight at all there, is it?
No, not really, but
had to go there, didn't
Well, I can't believe you hadn't done it already. Really, getting this far into the race and having come through the nighttime hours, and I hadn't heard it, so I thought it was about time.
Somebody's got to do it, right? Better our fearless leader.
I haven't had the stare from Eve yet, so it can't have been that bad.
I was having fun while you were napping, because every time I would say something that was a little bit smart-alecky, the delay was just right for me to be able to look over and get the reaction. Which made it even that much more fun. Ooh, now I'm getting the look.
Just looking at the car which has been in charge of SP2 for a large proportion of the race, the number 98 Renault Megane Trophy, and just evaluating what chance it has of possibly getting ahead of the car that's currently leading SP2, which is the Bonk Motorsport Corvette. Those two running a lap apart from one another. So at the moment, the Corvette, which has taken over, has completed 450 laps, and Max Brahms, who is currently at the wheel of the Verschuer Motorsport Megane, is on lap 449. So he's closing in, but at the moment it's the Corvette who holds the class lead, but that could turn on the way the pit stops fall out in the race. SP2 still very closely fought. As far as SP3 is concerned, still the Lotus Evora leading the way. Trevor Knight is at the wheel of that car. And second in SP3 is the number 141, another of the Bonk Motorsport cars. So Bonk Motorsport have second place in the SP2 category, first place in the SP3 category, and first place in SP2 category. So things looking good for the German team. But as I say, it's going to be a fight to the flag. Certainly the way that those cars have been going thus far, and again it's all a matter of just keeping consistent, keeping out of trouble, keeping out of the pits, most of all keeping reliable
and clicking off laps. Just clicking off laps.
Yep, keep it on the black stuff, keep out of trouble. And of course,
eating asphalt. Asphalt. just mile after 10th of mile after 10th of mile.
The difficulty with this kind of thing is, though, that because you're not in the fastest car, you can't expect people to move out of the way for you. And indeed, some of the time, you're going to be moving out of the way for other people. And we've heard from various drivers over the course, when they get off the racing line, they get onto the sand, they get onto the marbles, or a combination of both. And that means they end up losing time purely by trying to be kind.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult call to keep that right, keep that safe.
There's a skill, isn't there, to letting people pass you in the same way as there's a skill to actually passing.
And sometimes that's the worst thing you can do. Hold your line. Don't try to help.
Yeah, you get off line.
Don't try to help. Let them go by. Yeah, oh yeah.
But only sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know. Whoa, my. Hello.
Lorenzo Carvalho, the oak tree, is
he's awake now,
around the 16 Ferrari as if his life depended on it. It's not doing anything for his lap times, 2:07 lap time around, but it looks absolutely fabulous.
He clouded that curve and looked like Gilles Villeneuve incarnate there with a whole bunch of opposite, a whole handful of opposite lock to keep the car headed in the right direction.
It's a coming round again. I'm interested to see what the lap time is this, because there were certainly bags of enthusiasm there.
Oh yes. They're coming round to the end of another hour, and we'll be inside 4 hours at the end of this one. End almost in sight at this stage. It has just gone by like a steam train, wide open, hasn't it?
No, just
the Flying Scotsman. When I was very young,
more like the bullet train.
When I was very young, the locomotive of the Flying Scotsman, as well as the train, actually still ran 4472. And we had a railway line, railway line at the bottom of, around the corner from where I live. And I remember going out there to see this train go by.
That's cool.
And it was not the 1930s, Nick. And you need to be a bit careful.
That's right.
You may well regret taking the mick out of me when you get up here later on. You'll see why later. And I remember going out there, and the whole area came and stood and leaned on the railway bridge and stood on the embankments and watched this train come through at speed. And it was one of the most exciting things I'd ever seen. I was also lucky enough to be at the anniversary of the 100th anniversary of the railways, the Stockton to Darlington line, and they brought out the Sir Nigel Gresley, which was the companion locomotive to the Mallard, which still held all of the steam-powered speed records, and saw that go by at speed.
Yeah.
And they were alive, those things.
One of my dad's dear friends was a conductor for on one of the rail lines in the United States, and so that's how I have heard of all of these. Because he would tell us kids about these trains. One question: how fast was that event? I mean, when you say it came by,
it looked like 1,000,000 miles an hour to me.
Yeah, but I mean,
probably.
Well, you were young, so it probably seemed like an hour to you. But I mean, did it? Was everybody out there, and then 40 seconds later it was gone?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it was probably doing.
Everybody was there for 2 hours. 40 seconds. Oh, wonderful.
The 100 years of steam thing,
like the Tour de France going by.
The 100 years of steam thing. That was long cavalcade of whatever the word is of steam trains. But they did clear the line so that the Sir Nigel Gresley could go through its speed. It's 4 hours to go. You're listening to live coverage from the 8th edition of the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. It's Radio Le Mans, and we're live on the website with pictures as well. Paul has the rundown in just a moment or two's time.
Have got, 20 hours have gone then, 4 remain in Dubai. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and the leader is still the Black Falcon Mercedes SLS AMG, being driven at the moment by Sean Edwards, and he has 3.5 laps of an advantage over the second place car, number 16, being driven by Lorenzo Cavaglio. This is the AF Corsa Ferrari 458 Italia, and the race leader Sean Edwards, I should tell you, has completed 496 laps at the top of the hour. Lorenzo Cavaglio in second place, 493 laps. In third place is the A6 AM leader. This is Carlo Lusser in the number 8 team Fachauto Tech of Switzerland. Porsche 997, and that is in third place Carlo Lusser at the wheel with 489 laps under his belt. In fourth place, although this is the closest battle in the race at the moment, is number 19, the J-Lot Lamborghini. Takayuki Yaoka is at the wheel at the moment. They've completed 487 laps with the Lamborghini, but just 6 16 seconds behind them is the number 15 Aston Martin of the Kraft Racing team. Darren Turner at the wheel, lapping consistently more quickly than the Lamborghini, closing it in. But it's a slow process because it can only be a second or two every lap that Darren Turner is taking off the Lamborghini, and unfortunately the Aston is going to be the first of those two cars to stop. In sixth place at the moment is the number 25, the Mercedes of the Jones brothers, the Pressy Spark Mercedes SLS AMG. That car has just had a pit stop and is now out at the fueling station, but is running in sixth place overall, second in the AM class, having completed 483 laps. In seventh place is the third place car in the AM category, and this is the second of the FAC Autotech cars, number 7, being driven at the moment by Heinz Bruder. He's completed 478 laps, as I say. In 8th place is number 17, the Lapidus Racing McLaren, in the hands of Klaas Hernvel. At the moment, he's done 476 laps. In 9th place, still showing on the screen, is the number 24, Saudi Falcons Team Schubert BMW Z4 GT. Jörg Muller brought that car into the pits though about half an hour ago, or didn't bring it into the pits, he was towed into the pits with a broken engine, and that car is more than likely going to be a retirement. In 10th place, rounding out the top 10, is the number 2, the second of the Black Falcon Mercedes SLS AMGs, in the hands of Simon Knapp with 474 laps under his belt. That's car number 2 in 10th place. In terms of the classes, SP2 is being led by car number 126, the Bonk Motorsport Chevrolet Corvette, which has the chief on board at the moment, Peter Bonk, and he has done 454 laps and is in 15th place overall. On 453 laps is Max Brahms in the number 98 Equipe Verschure Renault Megane trophy. And so that's still a battle which we might see go down all the way to the flag in SP2. As far as SP3 is concerned, well, that's still the province of the Core Oiza Racing Lotus Evora, number 148. Trevor Knight is at the wheel at the moment, and he splits the two SP2 cars. So the leader of SP2 is in 15th place overall, 16th is the leader of SP3, and then 17th is the second place car in the SP2 category. The leader of the 997 class is number 54, the Porsche 997 of the Australian team, the Motorsport Services of Australia. That car currently has Paul Stubber at the wheel, has done 451 laps and leads the class from the number 41 Crucible Sport Porsche 997, which has done 447 laps in second place in the 997 class. Leader of the A5 class is car number 63, which is the JR Motorsport BMW E46. Harry Hilder's currently at the wheel of that one. And he, as I say, leads class A5. Leading the A3T class, as it has been doing for some time now, having had that problem, stranded them out on the circuit with a broken steering arm after they'd had some contact, is the Racing Divas car, number 121, the BMW 320D, currently in the hands of Gabi Ulye. She is in 31st place overall. Leading the A2 class is number 57, Rupesh Chanaki, as I say, in car number 57, the team lap 57, local United Arab Emirates car. That's in 35th place overall. Leading in the A4 class is the number 62 BMW, which is the Copa Racing entry, currently in the hands of Roland Eggiman. That's in A4, and then the final class is the D1 class, and that again being led by the same car that's been leading it for some time now, the 116 Red Camel Jordan's Seat Leon, which is currently being driven by Chris Gleason. So that's the rundown with a little bit under 4 hours still remaining. the sun shining brightly in Dubai. The temperatures are rising, which is nice for the spectators. It's been a cold night, but it might just cause some problems.
Yeah, strain on the machinery, strain on the human element as well as the fatigue sets in. But the sunshine warming the bones of our Intercontinental Hotel pit lane reporter Bruce Jones down there in the pit lane, as he is joined by the second placed car, the Ferrari.
Yeah, well, sadly, I was still trying to stake out a couple of drivers you wanted down the pit exit end.
You steer there, that's fine.
But they're still due. They're due in about 10-15 minutes, so I will go up and have a look. But I was just trying to find out when Bonk Motorsport was coming in next. So I'll look out for the Ferrari by the time I've headed past even Garage 9 out of...
No, they've already
gone.
They've already changed the driver. They'll be coming past you shortly.
Okay, in fact, coming past me right now is number 8 coming in for a pit stop. I think that was Martin Ragginger in there when I went up to have a coffee. So I guess that's him getting out.
No, it's now Carlo Lusser, Bruce.
There you go.
Was the one before Lusser, so it's like it's the speed of these cycles going through.
Well, that looks like a very standard pit stop for car number 8. It's been rising up the charts over the sort of as dawn turned today.
3rd overall at the moment. Here comes the 16 car down towards you. And 4 laps away from the leader now. Some what-ifs, I think, for the guys at AF Corsa. And brake problems just costing that extra stop when they didn't need it, when Chochi was actually going very, very well indeed. Had to come in early.
I still think, though, John, they would have struggled to have really carried the fight through to the Black Falcons Mercedes. Yes, they were involved in the battle, and certainly in the middle of the night they were right there, but somehow the Mercedes just had a stronger option, and as I say, they were just carrying this confidence with them, and yeah, I mean, it was the brake problem which set them back, but I think they would have been closer, but still not ahead of the Mercedes had those problems not intervened. Now the additional problem that the chasing pack face is that the Mercedes also seems to have had a very good fuel consumption record, and has just done very, very well in all departments. Fuel consumption, efficiency in the pits, and they've also managed to sort out the tyre wear problem. We did get that hint that they had a tyre wear problem, but Sean Edwards vouchsafed to us that he was able, during the race, and all the drivers modified their driving style in order to cope with the car, in order to deal with that problem with the consumption of the tyres. 500 laps now on the board, about 106, 105 to go, therefore, very broadly, very roughly.
SP2 class leader in the pit lane. In fact, the car, Bruce, has gone straight into the box. That's not planned.
Yeah, they've put Peter Bonk has climbed out and Tobias Gutroff has got on board, but obviously it's a slightly longer pit stop than if it's in the pit lane. I'm trying to keep out the way. They don't seem to be doing anything enormous in the car. They're just changing the wheels, topping up oil levels under the bonnet. But in fact, they've brought this car into the garage quite a lot. I think they're of the opinion losing 5 or 10 seconds by guiding it in is possibly worth it in the long run. They're here to finish 24 hours, but they're having a good look under the left rear wheel arch. Bit of shouting, but that's always exciting, isn't it?
Pit lanes wouldn't be complete without a bit of shouting.
Shouting and pointing in pit lanes, I think, is almost required.
Handy in commentary boxes, he said, as he pointed at the screen himself. I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that the not only the leading SP3 car, but also the SP2 car, but also the class leading 997 car in the pits, number 54, and they are now just a lap ahead of the number 41 997 car. So positions at the top seeming to become more and more solidified as the race goes on, but further down the field there's lots of battles going on within the classes, John.
Yeah, this thing's going to hot up.
We saw there from the onboard a stranded Seat, and I just have to work out where the 15 car was on the circuit from those pictures.
Is it number 66, John? That's Harry Dodson in the...
There it is, it's on the
driver's
exit.
right exit of turn 10.
Yeah, driver's right exit of turn 10 is spot on. Let's get the Andy Blackmore Spotter's Guide, sponsored by Daily Sports Car, Saudi Falcons, and RadioLeMans.com.
Intervention vehicle has arrived on the scene.
That is the Motorsport Services A3T car. I'm pretty certain of that. Now they've been up and down. They have been up and down the standings all day. The interventions there. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's go down to the pit lane. SP2 leader has been for some time, the Corvette of Bonk Motorsport. Let's speak to the man himself. Here's Peter Bonk with Bruce Jones.
Peter, it's been going very well. You're leading SP2, the fastest car in SP2.
Oh, that's great. Great. You say you are first? Perfect. Okay, it was a great stint.
Surprise.
Yes, the car was going. We can drive 208. Yes, and I drive 208, 208, 208, 29, 28. Perfect stint. And I see my team colleague from the other unsafe place. I push him. Yes, und immer 208, 208, 208. And I've never seen him in the mirrors. Perfect stint, perfect car. But now we have problem with the brakes. Yeah, my brake pedal is falling down.
Aye. So let's hope they can fix it, but going very well as long as they can fix the car. The Chevrolet Corvette, such a strong car.
Yeah, it's a perfect car. The gearbox is constructed by Goodroff, perfect team. Yes, and we are so happy we can drive this car. It's perfect.
Good luck for the rest of the race. Peter Bonk, vielen Dank.
Fantastic stuff. These guys, English not their first language, but the enthusiasm that comes from everybody, and I won't hear any criticism of anybody that we talk to throughout this event.
It's the international language of passion.
Yeah,
it's the international language of passion, and it's even more fun when one of our Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane guys can go give somebody the information, and it seems to surprise them. Oh, we are leading. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Don't be doing a Damon on me with the... So there is the 66 car on the end of the Toro.
What, with a bad accent?
Going back towards the pit lane. As I said, they've had a somewhat eventful race. Back down into fourth now in A3T. They were leading for a wee while, holding on, and then held on to a podium position for a long time before they had problems, and just fought themselves back into, well, certainly on the edge of contention for a podium spot before that further issue.
Max Brahms, though, has gone through into the lead of SP2 now as a result of the pit stop for the Peter Bonk Chevrolet, and say the problem with the brakes. It was such a lovely, enthusiastic response that he was giving about how well everything was going, and then now we have a problem with the brakes. Certainly burst the balloon. And
he's a glass half full.
Yeah, very much so.
You think?
But I say what has befallen the Bonk Motorsport car has aided the Renault Megane trophy car, the 98 car, which has been the class of that field for so long. and he has now opened up a two-lap advantage, hasn't he, in number 98, although he has to have his own pit stop, 98, within the next half hour or so.
Bruce Jones with something of an oddity from the pit lane.
Novelty corner, J-Lock Lamborghini. Every time I look up, it's driving through the pits directly for a refueling stop, and it's showing any new tyres. But the team is becoming insistent. They've laid them out in the pit lane, and you know, it's really nip and tuck just outside the top three. And looking up, I thought I saw a Lamborghini coming to the pit lane. Wrong again. That's the trouble with the big distance.
There is one.
Oh, there is one. Did it just go onto the weighing bridge?
No, it's
in the penalty box.
It's in the penalty box, right? Okay. Is it Suarez? Has he dived? Oh no, sorry. And he comes.
No, but he hit it with his hand.
Yeah, true. Oh, very good. Very good.
But that is going to put Darren Turner into a podium position.
Yeah, through he goes. Oh, just a pit stop, of course, but he has been charging. And as Paul said, that's not over that yet.
He was only 7 seconds behind, so he may be getting close enough that he can work the overlap on that next pit stop. If they can turn their pit stop enough quicker, they may be able to get the overlap.
Bruce?
Right, number 19, as we said, it's a novelty, them coming in. Hideki Yamauchi is taking over. But one thing I've noticed on the passenger side window, it's as though someone's opened a carton of milk and sprayed it all over there. Okay, it's the other side from the driver, but there must be points in traffic where you'd quite like to see out of that. Luckily, there's a little slot that slid back for ventilation, and he could look at that, but hardly a help. Certainly in the early morning light today, that must have been a real nuisance. Still, it didn't stop him going to the pumps a lot.
No, indeed. I was speaking with the guys at breakfast. One of the great things about this sort of centralised catering is that you bump into all sorts of people, and one of the advantages, and I never thought I'd hear myself say this 20 or 30 odd years ago, when I was told that having a regional accent would mean I'd never have a career in broadcasting and I had to lose it. But one of the advantages of having a distinctive accent...
No, mate.
No, seriously. Well, having a distinctive accent is people come up to you and say, you're that bloke who wumbles on about sports cars all the time. And whilst I was getting my baked beans, somebody said, oh, go on, say Aston Martin. And it was the guys that run the onboards, and they were saying that first of all, they're really pleased with the onboards. They've been running faultlessly since 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and they've done nothing to them. They've been powering the onboards from the cars, so they haven't had to change any batteries and things like that. Smart move. But also one of the issues they've got is the cameras that are outside, the lenses are now getting milky because of the sand. So they
almost have to put special lens caps
covers
or
filters. Yeah, and they're going to try. And before we go back on air, all of the cars that have got forward or rearward-facing cameras, they're going to get them in and replace the covers on the lenses.
The BSI guys in the States have the acetate that goes across acetate that goes across.
Acetone gives you that milkiness.
Gives you a great high too, but that's a whole different thing, I've been told. And the film goes across, and it's constantly moving. You know, they'll get a bug splat, and then all of a sudden the bug splat will disappear. Well, that's what we need for these. That'll be the next GoPro innovation, and you'll be able to remotely do it from your smartphone.
Yeah. So, you know, just thank you to another set of people who've worked hard to the advantage of the event. A number of people on the forum at radiolemans.com saying how great it's been having those pictures overnight, and the fact that the TV guys have left people cutting pictures and have left somebody on one of the cameras at least all the way through the evening, and that clearly that they were listening when we were asking them, can you just go left a bit and go right a bit. So thank you very much indeed to Quattro Major and the guys for putting that together for the die-hard fans who have been here for pretty much all of the race. It's a really great community spirit. In comes the VDS, which as it went past me had the look of a Di Tommaso as it went down, you know, with the reverse front.
Yes, that just triggered the memory. The 88 team used to run one in roughly that same colour.
Haven't seen it before at that angle, and as soon as I did, I went, oh no, amazing.
They survived the late night stoppage. They were parked driver's right there before turn 4.
It's not been a great run for them, but you can't fault their commitment. They're still 67th and still running. They are 8 hours behind the next car in line, which is the 111 car, and that is a battle for position.
You aren't kidding. It actually says 8 hours there on scoring.
Yeah.
I think, John, they're actually ahead, though, of another car that is still running, which is the 152. Brilliant. Because I've got a countdown timer running on 152, the diesel car of that's the Citroen C2 of HM Motorsport. That's still running as well. So they're a long way down. And they could probably keep running till Monday and still not be able to catch up with Jörg Muller's BMW, but they'll keep running as long as they can.
Darren Turner, another 2:03.5. Jens Richter in the number 8, the leading AM car, 2:05.6, which is spot on the money. Well done.
Number 50.
And Bruce Jones is down at Aston.
Just to say, turn your back for a second. I was just trying to grab the attention of Elton Julian and Eric Lux. Car 81, they were walking back from the control tower. They've had their 10 jokers. No more will be allowed without the time penalty. And they're just off the weighbridge. Okay, and here comes number 15, Aston Martin. Darren Turner moved it up to 3rd place, I believe, when the J-Lock Lamborghini came in for its pit stop, and now Stefan Muka, the 2 quickest drivers in that car, one about to hand over to the other, and there goes Darren, clonk right up perfectly to the stop board. He's already out. He's one of the quickest drivers at firing himself out of the car. Quite extraordinary. I'd put my back out if I did that.
Oh, and there it goes.
Ching.
Just asked Nick about trying to get into a Toyota GT1, the TSO20. He was doing that in a non-pressurised situation, and even on radio it was hilarious.
Nor a pressurised suit.
Honestly, it's the time I really wish I'd had a video camera, but we described it on radio and it was, hopefully we painted. I tried my best, but
never seen anybody pull a ligament trying to get into a car.
Oh man. And he was determined he was going to. Nick, don't do it, Nick. No, I can do it. No. I can do it. Your supermodel girlfriend's wandered off. No, she's still waiting for me. The supermodel has walked off. I said, no, she's still waiting for me. If you don't know what we're talking about,
he's 6'3", right?
Yeah.
He's
if you don't know what we're talking about, go to the website, go to other programs, and download Inside Toyota Motorsport.
Make sure you're sitting down.
We went to Cologne early part of October. Alistair Moffat, thank you very much, from Toyota Motorsport Group, and we had a look round, and part of that was having a look in the impromptu museum that they have there, and they had the racing TSO20s, the Toyota GT1s, and the only road-going car, and Nick decided it'd be a great idea to get into the road-going car.
You can be very cruel sometimes, can't you?
Oh, hey, it was. I looked at it and said, "Oh, I'd like to sit in that." And I looked at it and went, "No, maybe not. I'll go and have a look at this. I'll go and have a look at this MR2."
You can be very kind.
I had an MR2,
and you can be very cruel.
They have the one of only 2 ever built, the S.
Oh,
the Group S rally cars, which were meant to be crushed and never were. Bruce, talk to me.
Just wondering where the Seat 116 was placed in the D1 class, because he just had a pit stop and he's now come back in again.
Yes, he is the leader of the class. So I'm just looking down to see where the second place. He's got 7 laps of an advantage in that class. So Yes. I think you can keep us posted on that one if you would, Bruce, because even though the leader of the D1 class is right down in 40th place overall, it's Kane Aston behind the wheel at the moment, British driver who may be familiar to followers of British national racing. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, the Aston Martin, having just lost its podium place, Darren Turner having vacated the number 15 Craft Motorsport AMR car. It's not waved goodbye to that position by any manner of means, because the car who currently occupies the third slot on the podium is the Pro-Am car of Jens Richter, who just won't be able to do the same lap times that Stefan Mucker will be able to do once he gets going in the Aston. So we'll see how it goes and what happens, but I think that's going to be the main area of interest, that third spot, the final spot on the podium. Just watching the driver change taking place on the Max Brahms car. This is the leading SP2 car which is taking place. I think it was a team manager, somebody wearing a blue overall blue bib who was running up to the car, and as he arrived there, various things were being thrown out of the car and sort of clanked him all over the place as he was hit. Klaus Hummel is on the weighbridge at the moment with the number 17 McLaren, currently in 8th place.
Sorry, Paul, Jim. The driver that just got out of the car went over and flopped down into a chair, and one of the racing divas has come over to help out, and they've just dragged the okay, so
because that was Max Brahms getting out. My guess is that it will be Lizette.
Definitely is. It is. In fact, I think it is. But I thought it was her, but I wasn't 100% sure. Now I am. And now they've dragged him, still sitting in the chair, back into the shade. So might have a little heat prostration going on there.
And if you are feeling tired and emotional, what better company to have in the pit than not only a mother, but a mother who understands, because she's been there and done it.
Yeah, exactly. I want my mummy.
Anyway, the car has set off to the fueling area. And we'll tell you who got into it as soon as the information comes up on the screen. Jim.
And Max has put in a lot of hours. I mean, he's... I know you can only do 2 hours at a time. Is there a maximum you can do?
In the race overall, I don't think there is, no.
Yeah, well, I bet he's... If there was, I bet he'd be close to it.
Yeah. No, he's certainly earned his pocket money, hasn't he, in that car? Now, Stefan Mucker, having got going, has now found that pesky Lamborghini in his way again. So Stefan Mucker is suggesting he'd be at a battle for place on the podium. Well, currently he's got to get himself back up into 4th place, because he's been pushed back to 5th now by the Japanese Lamborghini. Hideki Yamauchi, as Bruce, it was, I think, told us, was getting into that car, is 8 seconds ahead of the German Mosquito, Stefan Mucker, who is currently chasing him down. So if you are around the circuit, look out for the all-white Lamborghini being chased by the multicoloured Aston, number 15. Top of the pack, Sean Edwards still leading in the Black Falcon Mercedes, but coming towards the end of his stint now. The pit stop summary
and the
list.
Pit stop sequence is also shaken out, Paul, as the number 8 car has returned to 3rd place overall. That's with the 19 car now 4th. That's the Lamborghini, the J-Lock Lamborghini, and of course the Stefan Mucker in the number 15 Aston Martin now 5th.
Yeah, that's right. You've got a lovely situation there where the fastest of those 3 cars is at the back and the middle one is in the middle and the slowest one is in the front. So you'll get a nice handicap effect working its way out of those 3 cars. 4 laps to go, I reckon, for Sean Edwards in the lead Black Falcon car. If he's running to schedule, 36 laps was the last stint. Bernd Schneider did 35 on his. And Sean got into the car, is currently working on his 32nd lap in the SLS AMG.
Just checking to see if any of the other classes need an update. I think everything is status quo.
The information we got as far as telling you about the Verschure Megane, which Max Brahms got out of. JJ Verhoeven is the man who got into it and is now on his outlap. So
and Max still not looking very well from Bruce on the talkback. So we're going to give him, let him just recover and leave him alone for a little while. Some of the deck chairs have come out and are pointing towards the early morning sun. People relaxing there and catching a few Zeds and just relaxing. It's a great scene in the pit lane. It is a great scene in the pit lane.
Have you ever had heat stroke?
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Martin Haven, remember, got it at Washington when we did the American Le Mans series there. Was pretty much hospitalised on a trip.
That's right, yeah.
A couple of people fell down with it at Texas as well, the first year we were at Texas.
I got it in a rally in Arkansas. Blacked out.
I was talking gibberish for days, but nobody noticed.
I think it's only when you stop talking that we're really going to worry, John.
I will tell you, I get very, very quiet after these events. I've used up all my allocation of words. In comes 116.
And all your fun units.
All my fun units, yes. Kane Aston in the leading diesel.
Now this is the 3rd stop in quick succession for this car, isn't it, John? Because Bruce was telling us it had made 2 in quick succession. How far is it ahead of its nearest rival, I suppose, is the next question then. 116 Kane Aston currently on 410 laps. The second place DT is on 401 laps, so the gap is 8 or 9 laps at the moment, so it's more now than it was a while ago. So Kane Aston has been
almost
he's been
doubled
going.
it. Almost doubled what it was a while ago.
Yes, so I suspect that implies that the second place.
Because this is was taken from when you took your meal break. Stefan Mucke has now, he's still working hard. 2:01.5, he's now just 5.7 seconds behind Yamaguchi.
Yes, that's right, and lapping on that last lap, 2.5 seconds faster than the Japanese bull, the Lamborghini. And
think he can catch him?
You can definitely catch Yamauchi. Question is whether he's going to be able to catch the FAT car, which is a further 2.5 minutes up the road.
Yeah.
So
what, in 3 hours? Yeah. If they stay the course, yes.
Yes. No. It's certainly by the end of the race. I was really by the end of his stint.
Oh, by the end of his stint. Right.
Yeah. But no,
yeah, because he's only 8 minutes into his stint, so he's got another good hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's plenty of time there for the the very quick German driver to get up there. And with the pro car as well, of course, Jens Richter in the AM car restricted by the 2 minutes 05 minimum reference lap time. I haven't heard recently whether there's been any amendments to the list of jokers. Let's find out now.
Well, they've probably added the 3 in the booth here.
Do we get the list of Riddlers, Penguins, and Catwomans as well? I thought of that one ages ago, but it didn't seem funny at the time. I must be getting tired of...
Holy punch drunk, Batman.
Holy endurance.
Yeah. Holy lack of sleep,
outside
Batman. Oh, we made it stick, but...
Wow. One of the minis going...
It was more exciting than it needed to be.
That was more Star Trek than Batman. That was
years ago.
Where no man has gone before.
Years ago, Ann and I were headed to the beach, and I was driving my Quattro, and I missed a turn, and she said, "Wow, I'm surprised you didn't try to make that." And I said, "Well, it would have been much more exciting than you would have liked."
Let's head down to the A5 leaders. Bruce Jones is with Simon Phillips, the team manager of Motion Sport.
Simon, I guess you were hoping for a ride on a camel towards the ceremony for victory in Class A5, but you just brought your car in the garage. What's the problem?
Yeah, the victory would have been nice. So before the last stint, we lost 4th gear, but we ran it with 3rd and 5th, and we still managed to get some good lap times. And I managed to do a full hour and 45-minute stint with just the 2 gears, but in qualifying pace laps, which was quite good. Just did a driver change, come back out now, and it seems a bit of the broken gears got caught in another gear or something, and we've lost 5th gear now. So it's kind of looking at the screen, seeing if we can just trundle around using 3rd and 6th. But we're just going to try and flush the gearbox out and see if we can salvage something. But just doing the math now, so yeah, still want to try and get on that podium.
Well, best of luck. You had a lead of a few laps, but it's dwindling. I'll leave you to go sort it out. Simon Phillips, thank you.
Oh, that is terrible. That is terrible. When you get to this kind of stage,
that's the worst. I mean, the only thing that's worse is closer you get to
the closer you get to the end, and you have a problem that takes you out of any position. Never mind a winning or a podium position. It's just horrible. Just horrible.
If you're gonna go out, take me out before halfway.
Hugh Chamberlain used to say at Le Mans, if I'm going to go out
before the bar club.
Go out before today, yeah, so we can get to the bar. And
the maths is something like what is it, 437 laps that number 60 has completed compared to 416. So he's got 20 laps of an advantage, and that's going to...
That's 40 minutes.
That's more than that for those cars. That's getting on for 50 minutes.
Not far off an hour, is it?
Yeah.
With 3 hours to go, if the car is drivable in 2 gears, and they've got the driver who are able to take it round in just the 2 gears without making it worse, it's one of those things, isn't it? You might as well try and do it, because you're not going to be able to replace the gearbox without losing the hour.
The worrying thing is if you go around in 2 gears and the clutch gives up, then
you get more teeth in other gears.
Yes, if
now
it's
you're down to 1.
If it's down to if it's starting to crumble.
Yeah, and you know if you have a choice between 4th and 1st gear, which one will be the one that's left.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy would be in charge of that.
3rd and 6th are the 2 gears that I would necessarily choose to drive around here in.
Laws of irritating Jim.
The number 2 Black Falcon Mercedes has been into the pit. Simon Knapp has vacated that car and handed it over. Meanwhile, I think we can talk to Bruce Jones in the pits, who has number 148 with him.
I had Shane Lewis, brought him out from the dark of the garage to the bright sunshine that we expect here at Dubai. It really is quite blinding, isn't it, when you come out? Sitting on the lead of SP3, looking good, but we've just had a few other cars hauling into the garage, so you have to just keep a measured pace, don't you?
Absolutely. 3 hours to go. When you have a little bit of a lead, that's when you might let your guard down here a little bit. I'm getting ready to get back in the car right now, and Core asked me to drop the pace down a little bit. So we don't want you to go fast. We need you to drop it down. The difficult thing with that is that, when you're not all in, sometimes the focus, the concentration, instead of going fast, is about surviving. And sometimes playing defense is not the best offense. But he's the man calling the shots, so I'm going to do what he tells me to do.
Now, what do you make of the Dubai 24 hours and the circuit? It's something completely different. So many cars starting on such a relatively short circuit.
It is. I actually love the flow of the racetrack. I mean, driving this track is it's a blast. It really is. Whoever designed it did a phenomenal job. Just enough elevation change that makes it interesting and technical and challenging. To come all the way over here to Dubai from the States, you get different cultures. You get different people from all different countries all over the world. And I think that's what's really great. There's an atmosphere here that's not like any other in any race, and I really enjoy it.
But it's a fantastic way to start the season, to warm up ahead of the great Floridian sports car races.
It is. I go from here. I'm in Daytona next week, actually, getting ready for the 24-hour race there. So I can't imagine saying that Dubai is a warm-up for Daytona, because I'm having, if it was the other way around, I would say Daytona's a warm-up for Dubai, because I love doing them both. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world but here right now.
No, me neither. Good luck in your stint. Thanks very much, Shane Lewis.
Bruce, thank you for that. Great to hear Shane's voice again. And Shane,
Careful, this car won't get through tech.
Stalwart of American racing. Great to see him and Vic Rice over here. The leaders in the pit lane, Sean Edwards, I think jumped out of that car. They're doing pads. They're doing pads on the front of that car.
He did threaten that they might, and
the pad change we have been expecting has arrived.
The scheduled sequence should be now back to Bernd Schneider, or possibly now is the time for Khaled Al-Kubaisi to get in the car for his turn. And
not with a set of new pads in.
Saying new pads?
Yes, probably not. So
I bet they're going to let him finish.
Well, I'm just thinking it through, because the car now, it's on its way. I mean, it's damn fast. Less than 2 minutes.
46 from into the pit lane to do a pad change, a tyre change, a driver change, and rolling again.
Okay, why does it take 2 days at your dealership?
You're going to the wrong dealer, Jim.
No, I do them at home because it takes 2 days at the dealership.
Yeah. That's one of the few things.
It takes me with limited tools half an hour.
You were asking earlier on, Jim, about when you start working back. You were asking me earlier on about working back from the end of the race. Now, that Black Falcon's next pit stop will be around midday. Now midday is a key point because it's 2 hours from the end of the race, and certain rules start taking effect 2 hours before the end of the race. You can't use jokers anymore, which don't apply anyway, but the way that the penalties are applied start happening slightly differently 2 hours from the race. Instead of being the responsibility of the team to apply the penalty as you come into the pit, with 2 hours to go, you hand over responsibility for setting the penalties to the timekeepers, and they effectively start messing around with your number of laps completed or add time penalties to you. So
you don't actually come in and stop, it just gets done in the computer.
Added into the computer. So as I say, that's the next pit stop will be 2 hours. But the other point that means is that from the next pit stop, the driver who takes over can stay in the car through to the checkered flag, because your 2 hours is your maximum driving limit. So all of a sudden, down at Black Falcon, now they've sent, I'm assuming it's Bernd Schneider, back out at the wheel of the number one.
And he'll take it just past the 2 hour mark.
He'll take it past the 2 hour mark, and then the driver after that is the one who can take it to the flag if they so want to.
So Bernd Schneider it was that went out in that number one car, confirmed from our Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane team. 87.6 Autodrome FM around Motor City in the circuit, radiolemans.com, www.24hdubai.com. Catch up on anything you've missed. There's video on demand there, sort of a DVR of the whole race, if you will. We'll be back on broadcast television at 11 o'clock local time, which is 13 minutes away. And Sean Edwards is joining us on the radio with Bruce Jones.
Just as Sean Edwards sat down and relaxed in the deck chair, I hoiked him up into the sunshine. It's getting a bit warm now.
Yeah, it's getting warm, and when I went out on, I think, my second lap out, I was pushing again, and I saw the number 24 BMW stopped, and then that was our main competition, along with the Ferrari, who also dropped some laps somehow. So it was a really easy stint for me, and quite luckily, because all the cars had gone out again. They've been fixed overnight, and everyone was driving really slowly, so I just cruised around like a track day, and cruise home, just keeping the pace relatively smooth and staying out of trouble, and then trying to bring the car home, keep it mechanically sympathetic, staying off all the curves, no risk, and now I'm done. So I gave the car in the lead. It's up to them.
You've handed over to Bernd Schneider, 3 hours to go, but obviously that means, well, presumably that means someone else will be taking the finish. Has it been decided who'll do that yet?
Yeah, it will be Jordan next, and then Khaled Al-Kabezi, the man behind this whole team and operation, and he's all put it all together and done it, so he'll be finishing in the car.
Very good. Great performance, but it's been a trial so far, hasn't it, from the very moment, not the moment you arrived, but fairly soon afterwards.
Yeah, obviously with the crash straight away on practice, and if we get to the finish with this car and in the position we are, would be a really amazing story for one from the team. I think this has to go out to all the mechanics who worked every night. None of them have slept for 3 nights in a row now. I have no idea how they've done it, and they've been amazing, and let's hope we can bring it home for them and bring our second win. Would be lost for words. Very emotional, more emotional than last year, where we didn't have any of those problems early on, but it's been a hard fight all race against the Z4s, the Ferraris, and the Aston as well. So now we've got a little bit of a comfortable cushion. Maybe if it finishes like that, the results won't show the true meaning of the race, because we were always on the same lap pretty much, and we were absolutely flat out, all of us, pushing through the night. But some great battles and great fun, and it's a shame about the BMW, because they deserve to be there on the podium.
But certainly, if anyone should spot your mechanics after the race, win or lose, they'll be easy to spot. They had 3 days of stubble, their eyes won't be open, but they do deserve a massive, great clap around the back.
Yeah, definitely. If we manage to bring it home, like I said, all credit goes to them. They gave us the machine to do it, and we just drove it.
Sean Edwards, you can get back in your deck chair now. Thanks very much.
Bruce, there's a Saudi Falcon car on the apron.
Oh, don't say that.
No, there is.
It's missing some bits, though, and I just wonder whether they're just making room in the garage behind it, John.
You may be right.
It's missing rear panels and
bonnet.
Oh, has it got no wheels either?
No wheels, no. I think maybe they're just shuffling the deck chairs around, aren't they? In the garage.
Metaphorically speaking.
Confirmed as an oil pump failure for that car, which is the same problem that they had last year, Bruce. You wouldn't have done that as you weren't here.
But what I can tell you is the reason it's been pushed back is because a photographer who's been working with the team all weekend just wanted one last chance to see that Andy Blackmore livery glinting in the sunlight. So he's taking the closing shot photos for the team's attempt on the 2013 Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai.
Sad sight to see that. And they're just blowing the airline across it to get the dust off the car. A lot of people asking us why there are Nismo stickers on the back of the BMW, and is there something we should know? It's a sponsor decal, same as the Dunlop sun strip on the front.
There's one on every car. It's throughout the. There are various sponsorship decals that are mandatory to be worn, and. In some ways it's good because it gives the whole series its flavour, and it's nice to see that the cars, although they all look different and sound different, do have certain things in common, and you know where you are. The only photographs you're taking here are of the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai.
Glad to see that you have responded to Eve's tweet asking about the you taking pictures of the motorsport caves that you are tuned in at, multiple screens. I think we may have a winner, someone that's come through to James Roller, who has retweeted it.
He's put the field 2 laps down.
Yeah.
Just hope the East Coast power grid doesn't go down.
Just hope that nobody on where I work has been listening and wondering why I've not been in the office on Friday. I've got a picture of my desk.
You were sick.
The good news is that we can speak to Max Brahms. He wasn't very well when he got out of the car at the end of his stint, Bruce, but he's recovered a little enough at least to talk to you.
Yeah, Max Brahms, it's good to see you've got some colour back in your face. You look very hot when you got out of the car.
Yes, it's quite warm already. And if you check the outside temperature, it takes 20-30 degrees above. And then you have 60-70 degrees in the car, so it was really hot.
But you've done a lot of driving in the car through the night, since the start of the race, leading the class. It's going well.
Yeah, the car is doing great. We had a little problem with the gearbox. It's an electronic one with some sensors, and one sensor broke. But we could fix it in 10 minutes, and that's the only thing we had. So, yeah, and we're still leading now. There was also another Corvette who was leading half an hour ago, but he has got some problems with the brakes. So hopefully we win the race in our class.
Well, let's see, but it's not every driver who can get out of the car feeling quite ill and have his mother, who's racing another car, come from the next pit to check he's okay.
Yeah, and my father, I drive the same with my father, and my mom is driving with the racing divas. It's really strange, but it's fun. Sometimes you see each other on the track, and they give light signals and things, and check the helmets. You know, oh, is it my mom? So yeah, this is quite fun here.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the Dubai 24 Hours. It looks so it's going very well. You should be heading for SP2 victory. Well done. Good to see you're better.
It's a good story. Good end to that.
That's a pretty lucky kid.
Yeah.
His mom's a racing diva.
Yeah. Absolutely.
My mother was a cake diva.
Nick Damon approves. It's been suggested, Nick, that after you were giving me some lip earlier on, that your return ticket may be transferred to steerage, and I just said, what return ticket? I've just rerouted you on the way back from Goa through Delhi, Bombay, Kurdistan, and not
in Tehran,
and then you're in chicken class. That's the one below cattle class. Yeah, okay. Very good. Nick Damon will be introducing the run to the flag on our television syndication in about 5 minutes time. So if you've been watching on broadcast television, time to get yourself settled in for the run to the checker the last 3 hours or so, and we'll stay with the podium celebrations as well. And I am sure Nick will get involved with the local colour, is all I am saying. After last year, it was a classic sign-off last year. If you don't know what I'm talking about,
it's taking all my weight.
Really, you need to look at it. Third place car, Jens Richter on the screen at the moment. The white and red car, and the best of the ARM machines.
The other thing that's happened that we didn't really draw attention to, John, Stefan Mucker back up into 4th place, having got past the Japanese Lamborghini.
And not through an change of pit stops, easy for me to say, but through sheer speed on the racetrack.
Speed on the racetrack, and the gap between himself and the 3rd place car, i.e. a position on the podium overall, he's on the podium as far as A6 is concerned, the A6 Pro class is concerned anyway, but if he's going to get on the overall podium, then 1 minute and 49 seconds he needs in order to get up onto the tail of the Porsche of Jens Richter. The last lap from Mucker there, 2 minutes 01, compares to the enforced speed for Richter of 2 minutes 5.5. So he's closing in, and still with a good 45 minutes of running for Mucker. 45 minutes to do 100 seconds. He's going to have to press on if he's going to catch. But he doesn't have to do it on his stint, and I think the aim of the Aston Martin has got to be to try and chase down that third spot on the podium. Gives us something to keep our attention on as the cameras pick up on the current third place car.
Who will finish for them, do you think?
Good question. Let me just
what's the rotation, Ben?
Well, it's been Turner. They've kind of changed the sequence, and I don't know, to be honest. Frank Yu, depending on how they're going, Tonomobu Fuiji, Darren Turner, Darrell Young, Stefan Mucker. I mean, Turner and Mucker are the superstars. Fuiji has done some good laps. Darrell Young is a useful driver. I mean, I don't know. It probably just depends on how fresh the drivers are feeling and who has to do the resting.
Seeing some onboard pictures now from both of the GT Academy cars. Sabine Schmidt out in the 147 and the 127 making a stop at the fuel pumps.
Yes, I think it's the 127 that we had the shot from.
The second shot. Sabine was first, and then the second shot that we got was the 127 car.
And meanwhile, the 147 comes in to serve a stop and hold. So the 147 Nissan then on its way into the pits. This the car at which in which Sabine Schmitz is driving.
Thank you very much to Bruce Jones, who we're going to bid a fond farewell to. But Bruce, you're very welcome to come up here and watch the end of the race. We'll see you up in the booth. Next, you will hear Nick Damon welcoming back our syndicated TV audience. And we'll take you all the way through to the flag for the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai for 2013.
Welcome back to Dubai for the last 3 hours to the flag of the 8th running of the 24 Hours in Dubai, sponsored by Dunlop here at the Dubai Autodrome. But when you left us a few hours ago, it was completely dark and there was a battle going on between the Saudi Falcon and the Ferrari number 60. You may have caught it. Well, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed in the background of that opening shot was one of those Saudi Falcons, the car running very strongly till about an hour and a half ago. And what actually happened was it just ground to a halt with an electrical problem. Now, that has meant that over the night we've seen some superb driving by the team that's been the story of this event, the number 1 Black Falcon. They've come from a long way back. They've come with a car they had to rebuild from a shell only the last couple of days, and they've taken the lead. And to tell us all about it, it's young Jerome Bleekemolen. Jerome, when you were fishing the car out of the barriers 3 days ago, did you think you'd be established as a comfortable lead with 3 hours to go?
No, it's amazing. When the car crashed, we thought it was all over, and yeah, the car was definitely finished, so we had to find another one. Luckily, the Jones family made it possible that we could buy another chassis. The chassis they had here is a spare one, and the team worked incredibly hard. They haven't slept for 3 days, so it's surprisingly they're still awake.
The last few hours of night and early morning have been very good, the team. You've had a faultless run, but your rivals have fallen back, haven't they?
Yeah, you see problems coming in, and that's the thing. It's not over yet. It's still 3 hours to go. We can get problems as well. So it's a tough race. It's very hard on the car, very hard on the drivers. So yeah, let's cross our fingers.
And so far, just 3 of you have done all the driving.
Yeah, that's right, and it's pretty tough because the stints are short here with the maximum driving time. So all of us didn't sleep for 1 minute yet, so we're pretty tired, but we'll hang in there.
Jeroen, thanks for talking to us. So we have 3 hours to go. So far, their only bad luck was on Wednesday. They just need 3 hours more of good luck for a back-to-back wins. And to talk you through those final 3 hours, we have Paul Truswell, Jim Roller, but first, John Hindhoff.
Thank you, Nick. And the sunshine very, very welcome down in the pit lane. It was a cold night as well as a long night with 14 hours of darkness here because of the latitude and the time of year. Nearly 5.5 minutes of a lead for Bernd Schneider, but that's just really a couple of laps, let's not forget. And we're getting to the stage now where concentration, Paul Truswell, is key, because it will cost you dearly, and already we're seeing some mistakes being made.
That's right, and the funny thing is that when Jeroen Bleekemolen was saying there how the team hasn't slept and how none of the drivers have slept, you can kind of see it on both sides. I can understand how the adrenaline has kept them going, but on the other hand, if you're going to nurse a car through to the finish, you don't necessarily want somebody who's not had any sleep. Now, what he means by no sleep, I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm sure they'll have been dozing, resting in deck chairs, armchairs, maybe getting massages and so on. So it's not going to have been completely sort of all hands on deck. But I suspect to an extent that the mechanics are going to be truly fatigued.
Yeah.
And if viewers will have been in that situation where you're fatigued and you're in something, you're doing something, you go onto autopilot, and then you sort of think, what am I doing, and you forget at what stage you are. And that possible example we're just seeing on the screen there as Lorenzo Case in the second place Ferrari coming up behind a slower car. You've got to make your mind up which side you're going to go. You've got to remember where you are on the racetrack, haven't you?
And you've got to make it clear to the guy that you're passing, who's perhaps as tired as you or more so, that that's what you're doing. One thing I'll say about AF Corsa, 2 laps sounds quite a lot, 5 minutes doesn't. If we were saying it was 5 minutes at Le Mans or 5 minutes at the Nürburgring,
you're on the same lap.
You're on the same lap at the Nürburgring, and the AF Corsa guys will not give up. They will be ragging that Ferrari. They've got 10.5 minutes between themselves and third place Jens Richter in the first of the A6 AM cars, which is the Porsche. They've only got 90 seconds between themselves and Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin. Note that's 3-4 different manufacturers of cars in the top 4. There is that Porsche, and I can tell you that Jens Richter will be pushing hard as well. All of these guys want to be on the overall podium, and there'll be no quarter asked or given. Nobody is just touring that. Look at the muck that he has just got on his tyres going down into turn 1. Be interesting to see if he can keep it on the track now. Let's just remind ourselves that the top 5 cars are all different manufacturers: Mercedes-Benz, Ferrari, Porsche, Aston Martin and Lamborghini. And if we go down to 8th, there's a McLaren as well. So that's 6 different manufacturers in the top 8, which I think proves beyond a doubt that the boys at Creventic are doing a phenomenal job in their assessment of performance of very different cars in not only that class but across the the whole field. I do worry at this time, Paul, and you and I have had this discussion many times before in many different venues and racetracks around the world. It's that time now where you really don't want anybody to make a mistake, because although someone will benefit from it, you want to see the guys race on the track rather than have some ill befall them.
It becomes an emotional thing as well. I mean, we're all tired, and you know, your emotions react far more extremely and far more quickly when you're in that situation. And whether you're the team manager telling your chief mechanic what to do, or whether you're the chief mechanic telling your fueling people what to do, or whether you're just the man who hangs the board out to tell the team where he is, you need to be acting in a calm, rational fashion. And when those emotions start to run high, that's when the mistakes start to happen.
Looking at the 4th place car of Stefan Munger in the Kraft AMR Aston Martin Racing V12 Vantage, and this car has the fastest time of the motor race with this driver on board, Jim, and he's down below a minute and a half now for 3rd place on the podium, and they are clearly targeting an overall 3rd position. They would still be 3rd in A6 Pro, but they don't want one of those AM cars between them and a step on the overall.
And they've been pushing hard. Muka and Darren Turner have been doing the lion's share of the work, and they have been on it. As you said, Muka has set the fastest lap of the race, and he has been consistently in the 04s, 03s, 02s. About the slowest he's been is this current lap time that he's sitting on, 2:04.364. So that's a battle that we're going to be watching, because that is a group of men on the charge. Now we're looking at the number 98 car, which is the Renault Megane silhouette car, and that is first in SP2.
Down in 14th position. Max Brahms got out of that car about 45 minutes ago.
And he was knackered.
He was really quite poorly, wasn't he? Spoke to him on the radio portion of our broadcast and on the streaming video with Bruce Jones down in the pit lane for us a little earlier on. And he was just about getting back to a colour that was slightly better than the car that is now. He was very, very pale indeed and very overheated, but he's been rehydrated, and the car has been taken over by JJ Verheul, and that car has had a good battle, you know, during the race with a number of different competitors,
mainly the 126 Corvette, which has
dropped down. They've got the gearbox problems. This is the Bonk Motorsport car, only 3rd and 6th in that car. Oh, hello. We've got code 60. Oh. And something's happening on the far side of the circuit. Turn 4 is the issue. Thanks, Phil. And it is, it's the 17. It is the McLaren number 17. Adam Christodoulou has stopped out on the circuit. And so we go code 60. Of course we do, Paul. Why have we gone code 60 now after we haven't been code 60 for over 3.5 hours?
Because we've got television. And the script said when television arrives. No, I mean, seriously, this is purely to neutralise the race. In order to get some safety marshals, safety workers, safety vehicles to that stricken McLaren, they need to neutralise the race. And the way they do it in Creventic races, the race organisers use this system of code 60. Everybody slows down to 60 kilometres per hour. You maintain your position relative to other cars, no overtaking, and that the fact that everybody is, I wouldn't say travelling at walking pace, because 60 kilometres is considerably faster than walking pace, but for a racing car it's walking pace, and that allows the marshals to do their job in as near to perfect safety as they can guarantee.
And the key to making this thing work is this code 60 comes out everywhere on the racetrack at the exact same time. There's literally a countdown from race control for each corner station to put the code 60 flag out, and that instantaneously and there's not a lot of leeway about slowing down.
No, and all the drivers have been briefed. It only works if everybody respects it. It only takes one person to be silly. Adam Christodoulou is out of the car, the former kart racer and single-seater racer, Formula Renault in the UK, among other things. The Lapidus Racing McLaren MP412 CGT3.
This is a prompt, John, for lots of cars to dive into the pits, because if they can dive into the pits at this point, refuel, then whilst everyone is running slowly, they lose less time as they would do if they did that same refueling stop whilst the circuit was in full racing operation.
Looking back to the 4th place car, this is bad news, bizarrely, for Stefan Mucker, because he wanted to use this time at full speed to close down on Jens Richter, who will be saying, well, this is not bad at all for me, because I wasn't going to catch the 2nd place Ferrari in my amateur Porsche.
Mucker in the pits, John. Mucker coming into the pits.
Interesting. But he's coming in early enough that this will work. Hitting the weighbridge.
I'm hearing from the pit lane that there may be a penalty about to be assessed on the number 8 Porsche. And Paul, you might want to check this. 3 people at the petrol station, 3 team members at the petrol station, which is too many, and it will be a 20-second penalty assessed on the car number 8. This is the 3rd place car, and that 20 seconds would all but take, as Stefan Mucker's come into the pit lane, would all but do the gap that he did have. Stefan Mucker will do a driver change, and tyres no driver change, excuse me, I thought that was a bit odd, in the Aston Martin. So a new set of Dunlops for the 4th place car. There is the number 8 Porsche.
Yeah, the regulations, John, say that you're allowed a maximum of 4 people to work on the car in the pit lane and 2 people to work as refuelers, who both have to be dressed in the refueling garb. As into the pits now, John, comes the 2nd place Ferrari.
Lorenzo Carze, Jim, has been one of my drivers of the race, to be honest. I think he's been outstanding. I didn't know too much about the man before I saw him. He's been nothing if not committed at every time behind the car.
Put on a heck of a show in the night time, just throwing that Ferrari around, taking some chances, but never once putting a foot too far wrong that he couldn't save it. And it's he's had some Gilles Villeneuve moments.
Big sideways, foot hard in
to opposite lock.
Yeah. So a 20-second penalty for too many people. Here on board with the Nissan, number 127, Lucas Ordonez coming into the pit lane as the Ferrari in 2nd place is already moving.
And the 147 was being pushed back into the garage.
Ah. Oh dear. That's not good at this time of the race. That is...
There's the Racing Divas, number 121, coming to a stop.
The good news for Lucas Ordonez is that they have got back up into 3rd place in the RGN Motorsport GT Academy Nissan 370, and they have got half a chance of closing in on 2nd place.
Here's the 8 car serving its penalty, John.
Yeah, 20 seconds as we said. It's rather overshot the penalty box here, and I think it's stuck in gear now as well.
Oh boy.
Oh dear. That wasn't the neatest, was it? Let's be honest. I'm being kind saying that.
Because this is turning a 20-second penalty into a 40-second penalty.
And get the feeling the clutch might not be working on that car too well, John.
I think you have nailed that, Mr. Truswell. That was a proper bump start. In comes the Lapidus McLaren under, well, not its own steam. It doesn't normally come like that from Mr. Dennis.
What's it, come with a bow or something?
Yes.
Or a starched white shirt, I bet.
The 15 of Stefan Mucker is back out on the circuit and therefore has taken 3rd position, I believe, or will do next time around if the Jens Richter 8 Porsche can't get out of the pit and the fueling station in time. There is our race leader, 528 laps. It was a record distance here last year. We won't get to that or challenge it this year. Paul thinks maybe somewhere near 600 laps but these Code 60s do take a very long time. Whilst Paul nods at me, let's go down into the pit lane. We were telling you all about the antics of the number 16 car overnight, second position for AF Corsa, and Nick Damon has the driver who was entertaining us.
I think, yeah, we've been one of our new driving heroes, Lorenzo Carze. You've had a pretty aggressive, pretty fun couple of sessions over the last few hours, haven't you?
So, yeah, so I'm aggressive here for all the week. I'm very happy about the car, especially me and Marco Ciocci. We did a really good job about the setup because we are not so competitive like Mercedes and BMW in the first lap, but for sure we are very constant in the long run. We are was four during the night, and after that we was just a little bit unlucky. We changed 2 times brakes, were not our previous, but so we are very happy. So now we are second. We try to continue like this and finish the race in this position. There is too much space between us and the first P1, but so I'm very happy for all.
Lorenzo, out of interest, you come here, you've impressed us. Where do you normally drive? What's your normal series?
I drove for a long time just with Ferrari from 10 years in the Challenge, in the GT. I think it's a good category for myself. So I'm sorry, but now I'm very tired because I jumped just now out of the car. I have to drink something.
Lorenzo, off you go. It's more important. Have a drink. Thank you very much. Well, I kind of thinking we're going to see a bit more of him. He's rather quick and very Italian.
Fantastic. We've been mentioning all through the coverage just the sheer enthusiasm of everybody, whether speaking in their own language or not. And Lorenzo Carze doing Ferrari Cup races. He is clearly a talent. And I do hope somebody has seen him. Now we have an errant wheel again on the McLaren, and that's
same bat channel, same bat wheel.
Was it that one? No, it was it was back right last time. That's back left.
Oh, but it's had a back left off as well. So this is like the third time.
Now was that finger trouble again? It looks to be damaged this time. The rear valance has gone as well, I'm being told. So that should be a pretty quick Code 60 then, and expect to see us racing again fairly quickly. Marco Ciocci now in second position, but the deficit to Bernd Schneider is 7 minutes and 16 seconds. And as much as I like Marco Ciocci and I respect him behind the wheel of a 458 Italia, Paul, I think without outside intervention that may be slightly too much even for Magic Marco to pull back.
Yeah, unless something amiss happens to the number 1 Black Falcon, and it's run, I shouldn't say anything about how well it's run, but it has had a good run. They have had a very professional approach to everything they've done. It's difficult to see what might go wrong.
Its 7-minute lead kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly right, Jim. Feelings, especially after what you were saying, John, feelings have to go out to Adam Christodoulou, though, with that McLaren. He had a strong top 10 position. He was running very nicely indeed before he had that problem in 8th place. He's already lost the 8th place in the time since the problem occurred, and he's continuing to go backwards. He would have been 5th in the A6 Pro class, and now they've got to A, fix the damage that Nick described, B, get the car back out again, and it's all going to take time, and that's going to see it fall out of the... Actually, yeah, it may see it fall out of the top 10. He may be all right. They may be able to get him back into the race before the next car catches up, such as the spread of the field and how the field has spread out over the 21 hours that the race has been going so far.
So here at the circuit, 1 or 2 people drifting back in to see the end of the race. We had a decent crowd for the start yesterday. And the Lucas Ordóñez now just 2 minutes and 17 seconds behind second place in SP3, the 147 car. It's not been their weekend. They are still in the garage. Too soon to call it though. We've seen many sports car races decided with bigger leads than this.
This is an American Le Mans Series race. We're 7 minutes into an American Le Mans Series race.
Yeah.
There's no way you can call this.
Code 60 still out. Oh, and we've got one of the Audi intervention cars just at the entrance to the pits, turn 16, with the passenger door open. I think he's probably just checking the circuit with the clerk of the course on board, just to make sure everything is to his liking.
Debris, fluid,
correct.
Sand.
Yeah, pieces of
clag.
Clag. Well, the skyline.
That's a David Hobbs.
The skyline of Internet City in the distance. Those twin homage to Chrysler Towers pointing to the sky, lit beautifully on the evening. And that is the backdrop for our first major international endurance race of the year. The Nissan GT Academy have been here all this week with the first ever Middle East competition for in order to find a gamer and take a gamer from virtual to reality.
John,
from this area of the world.
Camels have arrived.
Ah, the camels have arrived. You will see
camels
more.
We have been expecting.
You will see more of them later, and of course the local singing group as well.
They're over there warming up.
Yeah. The McLaren is already back out on the apron. No, in fact, it's gone back into the garage the opposite way around. There is the leader of SP3, Shane Lewis, as we go back to green.
Green, green, green.
And we have 2 hours and 37 minutes still to go.
Quick glance, I thought it was Tim Mayer waving the green flag.
You never know where Tim's going to turn up, you know.
True that.
It wouldn't be beyond the bounds of possibility. And then he would send us a text afterwards and say, hey, I didn't realise you guys were here. There is Bernd Schneider.
Knuckleheads.
Getting away from the rest of the field. He's got a very, very good restart. Marco Ciocci will set off in pursuit. It's a good-looking car, the SLS. I know that a lot of people criticise the proportions of it because it's got such a long bonnet, but that is a classic Grand Touring style.
Exactly.
You think of front-engine sports cars.
And frankly, I like it better in the silver, orange, and black than I liked it in the white orange.
Very good. Very good. Marco Ciocci embroiled in a little bit of traffic. He will have to clear through there. Hideki Yamauchi came into the pit lane there right at the end of that full course caution. In the we've got somebody moving very slowly indeed. It's the 98 car. Oh, this is the leader in SP2, JJ Verheul. The Equipe Verschure racing on the start-finish line. This is the trophy, and the McGann Trophy. I think he's got transmission problems, Paul.
Yeah, just with the way he looked at it, as if he'd put it into a lower gear in order to be able to accelerate away. Oh, where's the lower gear? I can't get any gear. Oh no! And it's just like a lack of drive with the gearbox in that car.
Oh, he's ground to a halt.
Tragic for
quickly ground to a halt.
Well, it's slightly uphill there, isn't it? As the car heads out of the start.
May have lost drive completely.
Well, he was going very slowly out of what should have been a fast corner onto a long straight. Martin Ragginger has held on to third position in the FAC Auto Tech Porsche. Well, let's keep an eye on that. I have a feeling we may see, well, we've got a local yellow on the start-finish straight for that car. Let's go down to Nick Damon in the pits while we keep an eye on what's happening on the track, Nick.
Yeah, with Adam Christodoulou, whose car caused the last of the causes. Adam, you've had a problem keeping all four wheels on the McLaren. What's been the issue?
Well, we had a bit of contact probably within the first few hours on the right rear. And we think that it damaged the thread on the right side, and then it seemed okay for a few pit stops, and then one of the wheels came loose and off it went. This time we've sheared the thread on the bolt, so whether it's been cross-threaded we're not too sure, but obviously the guys are back in the garage just changing it now, and hopefully we should be out in the next half an hour or so.
You've raced all sorts of cars in all sorts of places. How's the McLaren in Dubai compared to the others?
It's going pretty well. We've had potential and pace to be fighting for podium positions, but unfortunately we've just had a little bit of bad luck, and how some of the other Code 60s fell in place meant that we lost half a lap or so, and it's just all built up, and we've had one or two minor issues, but it's pretty quick. It's definitely one of the quickest we can lap in the 2-minute ones, fairly easy, and that's roughly what the pace is, and generally we seem to be one of the quickest cars out there. We just need a little bit more luck.
Do you think you need to come here for a year to learn the intricacies of the various rules, and you always need a year to learn these rules, Code 60, everything else on the track?
Well, experience is always going to help, so whatever we pick up from this year we will bring to next year. So obviously it's our first year in Dubai, so I suppose we're being a little bit tough on ourselves fighting straight for a podium in our first year of racing around here, so we do have high expectations, and we plan on getting them, and unfortunately we've got a little bit of work to do, but obviously everything we've got from this year is just more data for next year, so it'll always help.
Adam, thank you very much.
Very bad luck, but that McLaren has looked good. Very, very difficult to... You can't learn 24-hour racing, you just have to do it. And whatever people might say, there is an element of luck involved in it.
And not only from the team standpoint, but the car and manufacturer standpoint.
Yeah.
What a great proving ground for the McLaren to come out here and see. I mean, if you're going to find a weakness, you're going to find it in a 24-hour race.
They might have found a weakness, sorry to make that link and sort of shoehorn it in the number 19 J-Lock Lamborghini, which has been in the pits a very long time. The Megane Trophy car has disappeared from the front straight, and I don't know where it's gone.
Presto changeo.
Control-Alt-Delete, maybe, take that off your bingo card.
Oh yeah, it could have been a reboot. Electrical reboot.
He's gone through. No, he's still showing in
Sector 1.
Sector 1, but I didn't see him getting towed away, and I have to say I was too busy watching and listening to Nick and that interview with Adam Christodoulou to see where he was pulled away to. So my apologies for that. That's terribly bad form. I may be getting a tad tired. 2.5 hours to go. Surely he hasn't just come round again. No, he hasn't. He's still showing in sector... No, he's showing in sector 2.
Yeah.
So, all right. Bernd Schneider has no such worries. He's got an 11-minute lead. Into the pit lane comes the number 9. The Gulf Middle East Lamborghini.
Yep, there he goes, John. Down the back straightaway. At speed.
Right, okay.
Almost to turn 10, goes on the inside of one of the, it looks like the 101 Mini.
Well, can I just offer some congratulations there to the clerk of the course, who didn't panic and throw another code 60, waited to see what developed. Yeah. Put out a local yellow. It's a long, straight piece of track.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to allow drivers to have presumed drivers will have a little bit of sense. We didn't go full course caution. The car clears itself, because how many times have you seen a full course caution thrown out, and the moment that it happens, the car involved either gets itself back on the track, refires or whatever, Paul. So kudos to Chris Norman and the rest of the guys in race control. I
mean, the race has been run very efficiently indeed, and clearly there's been incidents and accidents as the race has progressed, but it certainly can't fault any of it on the part of the organisation. just looking at progress being made by Stefan Mucker, you were absolutely right. Following the pit stops that took place during the Code 60 period, the gap has come right down, including the penalty that was taken by the Porsche number 8. But a further 2.5 seconds were locked off the gap on that last lap. In fact, on both of those last 2 laps, with the result that Mucker in the number 15 Aston Martin is just 43 seconds now behind the Porsche for a place on the overall podium.
And been a lot of people on the forum at RadioLeMans.com and on Twitter at Specutainment and at Radio Le Mans, as well as on the Creventic website 24hdubai.com, commenting about Code 60. Just being told by Phil here at the track that one of the rescue units, rescue unit number 2, has done 23 tow-in recoveries, just that one vehicle. So yes, we've had a lot of full course caution, but not nearly as much as we might have had with a different set of officials and a different design of circuit, certainly.
And that raises another interesting point, which for my money makes it a good thing to do with the rule that you can bring the car back to the garage and then get on with it, because that was either 23 different cars that now wouldn't be racing according to ACO Le Mans rules, where you're not allowed to have outside assistant, and that would be 23 less cars that we'd be now watching circulating for these last 2 and a bit hours of the race, and that kind of thing. Never mind what the entrants and the competitors themselves want to do, but it's what we as spectators, commentators, want to be able to see as well. So I think it's a good way of keeping cars in the race to be able to tow them back in.
And hello to the guys at timeservice.nl, who are our timekeepers here, who've been rather taken aback by how many people wanted to watch the timing online. Oh my goodness me! On board with the Racing Divas, I think.
No, that was that's the 98.
Is it?
Yep.
My goodness, that BMW cut in front of the... You're right, it is the 98. My apologies. And that BMW there cut right across what would have been 3 or 4 lanes of traffic. The number 63 car with Harry Hilders at the wheel.
To put a button on your time services tweet. Way to go, collective.
Yeah, way to go, collective. Let's just see this again from the onboard. And if you think this was a late decision, if you think my navigation is bad when you've been following me to the track, just watch this late decision. The Megane Trophy, a quicker car, full house racing car, goes up the inside, and that was a late decision. And that, remember, was a similar move in reverse that cost the Racing Divas dear early on, and they had to fight back from. I bet that caught the attention of JJ Verheul in the 98 car. He's having an eventful few minutes, isn't he? Car cuts out on him when he's leading the class, and then the BMW tries to take him out.
Just to add something to that tweet from the time service about the number of people who've been following the timing service, they did want to have the tracker running during this race, and there were so many people wanting to run the tracker. If we saw the tracker during qualifying, a very useful function, but there were just so many people wanting it that the servers just gave out within about an hour and a half of the race starting.
I think that proves the concept, though, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, now they know. And the trouble is, it's all your
of their
fault.
own success.
Exactly, victims of their own success.
Everybody in the blue grandstand, stand up and cheer.
Yes. Okay. 2.5 hours to go. There is the leading A3T.
Speaking of the Divas,
Sandra at the wheel, and
number 19 car, as Paul is pointing out, the J-Lock Lamborghini has made a pit stop and is back out on the racetrack.
Hit far too long a pit stop, though.
Hideki Yamuchi behind the wheel of that car.
That was a very long stop indeed, John. It was 19 and a half minutes of a pit stop. So he's now down in 6th place overall.
And that's let the Joneses move up into 5th. Keeping up with the Joneses. Climbed to 5th overall, 2nd in the Pro-Am category. looking at the 15 car now, which is just 38 seconds behind Martin Radiger. Ragnar was 50-some seconds up when we went back to green after the code 60, and Muka is lapping 2 seconds a lap faster on average. So in about 20 laps, we might see it a battle for the position.
Talking about that fifth place, number 25, Godfrey Jones' car. Well, Morgan Jones, because their whole family in that car, has recently got out, and that means that our Nick Damon in the pits can have a quick chat with the young man.
It's certainly a family affair, the 25, and more importantly, it's a very stealthy family affair, because you've just been slowly climbing up the charts and such, and now you're 5th overall. That must be beyond your wildest dreams.
Well, I'd like to dream a little bit harder than that, but you know, I think we're fairly happy with our sort of day's work, as it were.
Yeah. The car really has just run like a metronome. Have you had any problems we've not noticed?
Not really. I think that's really why you have a Mercedes for these sorts of races.
And of course, the other Mercedes you brought with you is currently leading the race in different guys.
Yes, it is. So I believe, anyway.
So we've got 2.5 hours to go. Will you be driving again? What's the plan? Is it just carry on knocking out the laps?
I think just carry on knocking out the laps, really. I think we're going to do this stint and then one more.
And are you? And I think actually you've got about another 20 minutes when you use your Joker laps. So you're going to ask Godfrey to go hell for leather to use them up?
No. It's just conserve the car and get it to the finish line.
Thank you, Morgan. Thanks a lot. So that just goes to show you the most concentrated families. But I'm sure, John, of course, we've found relations of families up and down this pit lane, haven't we?
Yes, we have. We've got the Brahms family. We have got the Kimber Smiths. We've got in the little Citroen that was running around so very well earlier on, the Hansens, father and son, Jens Henrik and Jens Erik. They are up and down the pit lane. If there was a theme tune for this event, it would be Sly and the Family Stone, It's a Family Affair.
In the 14, almost 15 years now that I've known you, John, you've always helped me get a handle on all the different dialects of the British accent. Was there a little Eton in that last one?
I think you'll find that was just posh.
Spice?
So that is the 25 car.
Certainly.
Godfrey Jones. A pair of twins. In that one, a set of twins, rather.
Yeah, and twins who have been racing for a very, very long time on the British national racing scene. This, to my knowledge, the first time that they've all run together in the same car. So although the twins, David and Godfrey, have been running together, and they've certainly been racing for the best part of 20 years, this is the first time that they've all got together as a family. And you know, having seen them race for so many years and keeping my fingers crossed that it all goes well for them. Meanwhile, Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin, even if Stefan's a German, we can take some British pride in the Aston Martin, running still faster than the Porsche up ahead of him, and that gap now down to 33.4 seconds between the third place and fourth place cars.
Taking more than 5 seconds out of it in the last lap, 2:02.2 to 2:07.8.
With still plenty of fuel left on board for the Aston and Stefan Mucker to use up, although he will have to pit before the Porsche does.
Now, can he make it on just one more stop?
Yes, he should be able to.
That's what I thought, but I'm not going to say anything like that without asking you first. Especially since I haven't had any sleep.
Perhaps we should just even the balance a little bit for fear that IFN Porsche people, because Martin Ragginger, because he's running in the AM category, is restricted about how fast he can run. He can't run any faster than 2 minutes 05, but otherwise he will incur the...
How many jokers is he on?
Well, that's what I was just looking down. The number 8 car is actually well in control of its jokers. It's only used 5 of its jokers.
Well, he's got 19 minutes left to use some jokers if he wants to use them, and then after that,
He won't be allowed to use them. No, that's right. He may
get
well.
it in gear, Martin.
Yeah, he may well declare himself happy with victory in the AM class and say he's not going to not going to try and defend. We'll see how it all pans out. But the Porsche that does have problems with Jokers is the number 7 Porsche, which has used up all 10 Jokers. They're given 10 chances to go underneath their minimum lap time. The number 7 Porsche, which is in 7th place, has already used all 10. And also another car that has used all 10 already is the number 81 Audi R8 LMS, which is in 11th place. Pierre Eret currently at the wheel of that car. And he has not only used up all his Jokers, but he's also had a penalty for doing an extra lap underneath the reference lap time. So number 81 already knows what the penalty is for driving under your reference lap time.
That's Jake Giddings in the pit lane in the 96 Clio, 4th in A2. As we're back on board the Nissan of Lucas Ordóñez, suggested that he might be putting some pressure on second place in SP3. He's 3rd at the moment, and he's only some 35 seconds away from the back of the second place SP3 car, which is the number 141, the Dunlop Motorsport coloured Bonk Motorsport BMW. So that is by no means out of reach of the inaugural winner of the Nissan GT Academy from 2009. This was his prize drive. And there is the 127 from the outside with the G-Drive sponsorship that Roman Rusinov has brought to that team. Lucas Ordóñez, who has represented the Nissan GT Academy so well, already stood on the podium at Le Mans in prototype 2. And really set the bar very high for those that have had to follow Jan Mardenborough.
I don't think it's supposed to do that.
No. Well, it's a front-wheel drive car, so it just has drive.
That's true, yeah, that's true.
Lucas Ordóñez, as I said, the inaugural winner, sitting in 3rd place in SP3 at the moment. Jan Mardenborough racing in New Zealand this weekend in his first taste of single-seaters and doing quite well.
I can't say it enough how impressed I am personally with this whole program. And Lucas is just the poster child for it. He's done fantastic work, and all of the guys that have followed in his footsteps have carried on a great racing tradition for the GT Academy.
I do think as well, Jim, that, well, no, I don't think, I know that Darren Cox, whose concept and baby this very much was, who is now the Global Motorsports chief of Nissan, there was some ridicule. Everybody laughed. There were some very big names in motorsport who were waiting for it to fall flat on its backside. And even when it didn't after Lucas, they still tried to pick holes in it. Jordan Tresson the next year then went on to win the National GT Championship in France, I believe.
Yeah.
And
they got lucky with the first one.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then they got lucky again with the second one.
Yeah, right.
Then they got lucky again with the yeah, right.
You say twice is maybe a coincidence. 3 times.
The FPI would call that a clue. Yes.
Well, when the concept first came out, everybody expected a bunch of overweight couch potatoes.
Yeah, but they wouldn't let us do it.
We're too old.
Our reflexes were terrible. They have got a problem, by the way, with that 96 car, because I've just realised that they were putting the torque wrench on the middle of that. Oh, the hacksaws come out now. That's not good.
It's not supposed to do that.
They put a torque wrench on the middle of it, and I'm thinking, of course, that they're tightening a lug nut, and it's got 4 lug nuts on it. they've got a problem with the hub on that car, Paul.
Yeah, that's the car that is in A2, fallen back already to 4th in the A2 class. So I think we can classify it as a walking wounded, of which there are several now, because we've still got that SP2 Chevrolet Corvette with its gearbox problems, number 126.
Having also been a leader in class, of course.
Indeed, and still sitting there in the pit lane.
Does anybody have the Jaws theme in MP3 on their computer? Because here comes Stefan Muka. Now just 24 seconds behind the number 8 car.
There is Bernd Schneider. His lead is 7 minutes and 7 seconds, but he is lapping quicker at the moment by some 7 seconds a lap than Marco Ciocci. Yeah. Leader of the race is Bernd Schneider in the number 1 Black Falcon
Adam, car 96.
Mercedes, which at the start of this week looked very different. It was silver, it had the number 300 on the side, and it was here purely as an extra car to do the test, the private test session on Wednesday that about 60 cars took part in, and it was for the Jones twins to get some extra time to themselves out on this track. The 3 younger Jones, by the way, have raced in Britcar, but it's the first time that they have shared with the twins, as I think we said earlier on.
And for those who are not familiar with Britcar, the twins are in their 60s.
Let's head down to the pit lane. Johnny Adam is down there with Nick Damon.
Johnny, your 96 car came in, the Clio. It was a bit of a mess when it came in. Was that a blowout or an accident that caused the problem?
We had a drive shaft failure, and also as a result, it's done the tyre as well. But we've had a tough night. We've had a lot of problems with the car. We've had a gearbox issue. We've had wiring loom with a fuel pump failure. So we've had a lot of issues.
The doors are still working, though, yeah?
Yeah, the car when it's running, it's going well. We're lying 4th there in class, but obviously this is going to knock us down slightly. But we'll get this quickly fixed, get out there, and the biggest thing we want to do is finish. So we'll hopefully get there at the end.
Have you enjoyed the Dubai experience, though?
It's been good, yeah. It's a good experience for the team. This is their first 24-hour race, and they've coped with it really well. And you know, we just turned up with a normal Clio Cup car and expected it to run well, and it has. We've just had some problems during the night there.
You'll have ended up doing about 2 seasons running, will you?
I know, that's the thing. It's so good testing, you know, and you get so much, you know, for your money over here with the amount of seat time you get. But the goal for us now is to get this back out and get to the end.
Thanks, Johnny. Yeah, there have been some quite large amounts of work. Had to replace the ball joint, the ball end. In fact, when the tyre went, it delaminated in such a way that it got itself completely entangled with the suspension uprights, which resulted in a mechanic doing some of the heaviest tugging I've ever seen.
Wow. You've never seen me driving. I'm tugging even harder than that when I get behind the wheel of a race car. Johnny Adam, who had a very good career in Clio Cup in the UK, and I'm surprised actually, because he's a very talented young man. I'm surprised he hasn't been able to make the jump into touring cars or into GT. He did 1 year in touring cars, but couldn't get the budget together. And I wonder if this move to GT is a calculated one, because he clearly has some talent, and endurance racing perhaps might be the way for him to move forward and earn his living in motorsport. Smashing young man, and a very, very quick driver, thoughtful driver as well.
Is he?
Yeah. What you see with Johnny Adam there is exactly what you get. You know, he's approachable. It's not a great time for the team. They've got the drive shaft problem, but he steps out and speaks to.
He doesn't have a puss on his face.
And they know, you know, I like the point he made, you know, in terms of miles for you, euro, pounds.
This thing is a huge deal.
Yeah. You can't get a track here for the kind of price per mile you pay out here.
All the track running time is dedicated to this event. There's no support races.
Yes.
You're not having to share the track with anybody. Then, you know, what do we have? 4 hours of testing on Wednesday, and then all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Or the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And Thursday, then all day Friday. Today and yesterday.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes. On board with the 98 car, that Renault Trophy. And proof, as we've been seeing through the event, but I appreciate people are joining us all the time, these single make manufacturing cars, like the Megane Trophy car, which is a silhouette car, the Clio Cup cars, there's a Golf TDI out there, there's a few Seat Leon TDIs and Super Copas, Paul, which normally run in 25-30 minute races supporting something else. Here they're part of what is the big show, doing perhaps not what they were designed for, but proving what good racing cars these single make cars are.
Yeah, that's right, and I think what it gives to the competitors is something a bit different, because I think, you know, there are racing drivers out there that they're, I mean, to say hobbyists is perhaps unkind, but they are using motorsport as an outlet for something that they're enthusiastic about. And at the end of the day, if driving up and down the motorways of England or of France or of Italy is not what you want to do, if you want to do something a bit more glamorous in inverted commas, then why not join the 24-hour series and go to places like Dubai or Bathurst or Barcelona? And you know, you can do something glamorous, and in terms of value for money, track time per pound, it's quite good value, and it's an awful lot of fun, and the sense of achievement that you achieve by finishing is fantastic.
Plus, it's a lot safer.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be out here with a bunch of people that relatively know what they're doing than on a public road train.
Oh yeah, can't condone that. A new door mirror glass going into the 147.
Wonder whose hire car that
or Peter Pizzera, and that car does not look as it came out of RGN's workshops when it went into their container just before Christmas to come out here. That car has suffered the slings and arrows of misfortune overnight here, but it will be pushed on to the finish in 9th position in SP3, down in 40th position. The team car, remember, is in 2nd place in class and in 20th position, and it is in 2nd place in class now. It has overtaken the 141, and Lucas Ordóñez has done a cracking job to pull back Emin.
What a great comeback.
Altata, and the 141 has dropped into 3rd, and Lucas Ordóñez now in that 127, the team car of the car we've just seen leave the pits, is in 2nd place in SP3. What a drive back that was. Remember, that car was leading the class, the 127, when it hit a loose wheel and tyre out on the circuit.
It stoved in the front of the car.
Spent a lot of time.
A lot of damage.
Just goes to show again the virtue of this type of racing. You know, you're never out. Just keep plugging on, repair the car. You know that you'll get some kind of finish out of it. Stefan Mucker is charging on, John, down now to under 15 seconds, and he's still got, again, 40 minutes to run with that car before it runs out of fuel. Lower on fuel at the moment of the leading runners is the leading car, number 1, Bernd Schneider, in for refueling, I reckon, John, within about the next 4 or 5 laps.
We've said right throughout this event, gentlemen, we've talked rather about the effect that a large event like this has on local motorsport, and there is no history really of track-based road racing in this part of the world, because until relatively recently, and I mean within the last decade, there weren't any facilities to do it. But I would just like to point out, and thanks to Phil Hansen for writing this out for me, there are 3 UAE-based teams leading their classes at the moment. In Class A2, the Lap 57 car, based just up the road in Sharjah. The D1 class, the Spencer van der Poel Racing, based here in Dubai, and of course Team Abu Dhabi by Black Thornton in the lead of the race and potentially defending their championship win from last year. And I think it's important, gentlemen, that this is seen, that it gets coverage, and it will get coverage in the local newspapers, of which there are many, both in the local languages and in English, the local TV are taking the broadcasts here, and some of them may well be listening to this commentary now. And well done to the guys who've come out, got their race licences here at the Autodrome, or indeed any of the other fine facilities that there are around this area now.
And in the entire region, motorsport is starting to catch on to the point where, entered in this race, we have the first ever driver with a Kuwaiti license.
Competition license, yeah.
License number 001.
Yeah, put that.
That's awesome. Yeah, put that in your frame. That one.
Yeah, there is the third place car, Martin Raginger, the Porsche specialist in the Swiss-entered number 8 car.
Joker lap.
He just threw down a joker.
Yeah, by 2.5 seconds. That's very interesting. He's feeling the pressure from Stefan Mucker. Of course, Paul, he's only got 4 minutes to do that now. He can't use joker laps in the last 2 hours.
That's right, yeah.
He's left it a little too long to start throwing down jokers.
Well, how many's he got left?
Lots.
Yeah. He had, double check me on this, Paul, but at my last count, he had 6 left.
I think he had 5 left.
Okay.
So that one gives him 4 left.
Yep. He's going to waste at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 4, because he'll probably get 1 more in. Maybe 2. But he's got to push it now. The gap has come down to 16.5 seconds. Remember, they're only interested in the amateur win, is what they told us early on in this race.
Oh, right.
At the time, we said, yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
And now...
Tell me that when you're in for a shout for the podium.
Yeah.
Overall podium.
Yeah.
Right.
Have led the race, of course, these guys.
Yeah, that's true.
How many leaders have we had, Paul? That's something we haven't talked about for a little while, because the number 1 car has been out for such a long time, for such a long time now. But in the earlier part of the race, we had a variety of cars and a lot of action at the head of the field.
He heard 9 separate leaders of the race, and altogether 28 changes of lead during the race. So yeah, a big variety, and a big variety of manufacturer as well, in terms of the types of cars that have led the race. I think we've had virtually every manufacturer that's in the top group, in the A6 group, that's led at some point or another.
Another joker for Martin Raginger.
Yeah.
2:02.320.
Yeah, another 2.5 seconds underneath his reference time, but that's fine. This is all part of the tactics. He'll get another one in if he's quick. And he is quick. He's too hot in traffic though at the moment. And that will slow him down just a wee bit.
But it's stifled Stefan Mucker, who at one point was 14 seconds behind and is now 16 seconds behind.
Yeah.
I think Martin is just making the point that it's not that Mucker is a better driver, says Raginger, it's that I've got this minimum reference lap time, and it's nothing to do with the Aston Martin or with Stefan Mucker.
This is Martin Raginger going, hello, hello, yes, is that Stuttgart? Yes, I'm still here and I can still drive.
In bingo, yes.
Yeah, there's a new 911, of course, new shaped car. The 991 chassis. This is a 997, the outgoing model. The new 991 RS GT3R.
Longer wheelbase.
Coming out, longer wheelbase, much longer wheelbase, and wider track as the standard car. So much so that Porsche Motorsport have decided to homologate, which means declare their race car built on the standard width body car, because it is such a good platform. As we're heading up towards the end of another hour of motor racing. Here comes Martin Raginger in the lead of A6 but 3rd position overall. And what will his lap time be this time? Is he going to use another one of his joker laps? I think this will be the last one that he will get. As through goes Marco Ciocci in 2nd place. Just 1 minute and 16 seconds before we go into the final 2 hours. And at that point, there's no more gimmies for anyone. Oh, somebody off there.
Raginger has decided it was too close to call, so it's gone a little bit slower. 2 minutes 7. So once again, Stefan Mucker has the chance to close up.
Nissan off at turn 2.
Oh.
Now I hope he's been a long way off onto the international circuit and then come back on again. Now, was that Lucas Ordonez? No, it wasn't.
It's the 147.
It is the 147 car. Lucas is coming across the line now and continues to be in second place. He's not unless there's a problem for the SP3 leader, which is Shane Lewis in the 148 Evora. He's not going to catch him because he's 6 laps up the road. Martin Ragginger is now only 13 seconds away from his pursuer.
He delayed the inevitable for a couple of laps, and that's about all he did.
There is Marco Ciocci. You know, AF Corsa, we get so used to them being at the front of the field. It's almost been quite refreshing to see them have to work pretty hard in this race, and they have worked very hard indeed. Always had the rubber of the green, and they've had to do at least one extra brake change, I think, from what they expected to, Paul. And although that's only a couple of minutes here and there in the pit lane, it's the lack of confidence in the car that affects the 3, 4, 5, 6 laps before you come in that really makes the difference.
Particularly with the way that the rules allow the cars to go just as fast as they can, it does mean that average lap times have a much greater importance than they would otherwise. I've just been looking at the number of laps completed by Bernd Schneider in this stint. He's been driving for an hour and a quarter, and in that time he's done 32. He's now on his 33rd lap of the stint. Last time Sean Edwards was out in the car, he did 37 laps. So we're coming towards the end of Bernd Schneider's stint now, so expect him into the pits within the next 3 or 4 laps to refuel the car and hand it over to his co-driver.
We're moving into the last 2 hours of racing. Indeed, we have done so, and we'll explain the slight differences in the regulations in just a moment. But first, let's check the positions of the whole of the field as we go into the last hour, the last 120 minutes of racing. So Abu Dhabi by Black Falcon leads the AF Corsa car in second place. The FAT Autotech car is in the AM class and leads that, but is being closed down by that Aston Martin Racing Croft Racing car in 4th position. Down through the classes in 15th position, Akib Verschoor are leading their lap. Oyster Racing, the 148 Lotus, is leading their class rather, and the 63 is leading A5, which you'll see on the next slide. JR Motorsport, the Bonk Motorsport 1 car, the 141, 3rd in their category. Further down through the list at the moment, the next class leader will be the A3T class leader in 30th position, and that is the 1-2 Racing Divas. There they are in 30th position. The A2 leader is a very respectable 36th overall, and that is Saeed Al-Mahari driving the 57 car at the moment for the Laps 57, one of the local teams that we were talking about, and they would have taken a top 40 finish, I will guarantee you that, before the start of this race. The D1 has Chris Budnick behind the wheel, the 115 car leading its category, down in 41st position. SVDP Racing, there they are. And all of our class leaders are in the top 41. As we go further down through here, most of these cars now, as we go down into certainly the 50s, have had their problems. The Gulf Racing Middle East number 9 Lamborghini has been massively quick, but was delayed earlier on. That car still racing. Problems for both of the Bezaplast racing cars, who have often been class winners down through the years. The 88 Dragon Racing Ferrari looked good early on. Power steering failure really started their problems. The number 10 MRS GT Racing McLaren, also problems. And of course the sadness of the Saudi Falcons Team Schubert 1 car, 12. A Temptor Racing, the first car to go out really in the end of the first hour with Nicky Team and that fire. The Porsche looked like it could have been a real challenger. Let's go back to one of those class leaders that we were talking about, picking up on the circuit with the 30th position A3T leader, the Racing Divas in their BMW. This is a great effort. It's a feel-good story too. Raced a front-wheel drive Clio Cup car last year. This is a very different proposition, rear-wheel drive. I'm not saying it's really easier to drive a front-wheel drive car, but it is much more familiar to most people from their road cars. Rear drive cars, racing cars particularly, will move around an awful lot down the back straight. And they have done a great job stepping up in power, going up through the classes, Jim, and all of the ladies have done fantastically well, despite having not by any stretch of the imagination a clear run. They lost a lot of time when they were clouted by the Lamborghini. Oh, now is that that's the 98? The 98 car. This is the leader in SP2, 14th overall, I think. Let's pick that car up on the track. As in comes the, I think it was the 54 Porsche. I'm watching the 98 to see if they're stuck in 2 at the moment with JJ Verhoeven. It is one of the parts that I can't quite see all the circuit at. Oh dear. Anyway, we'll pick that up in a moment as the Divas come onto the start-finish line. They've fought their way back in the lead of the class, and they are raising awareness for Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS as it is known. It's a disease of the nervous system. If you want to know any more about that, go to racingdivas.nl or use a search engine. It's an awful disease. The sadness is that one of the drivers has a very good friend who has been diagnosed with it, and unfortunately there's no cure and very little known about it, to be fair. That's why they have decided to raise awareness of that disease.
Second place in 997 on the screen. There's the 98 car. And
that may...
140...
Peter Pezzera is still in Sector 2 in the Nissan, but I don't think that was the onboard from the Nissan.
Yeah, but I don't think that was his onboard, Phil.
The 98 is coming into the pits at the moment and is being held for a stop and hold penalty. The leader is now coming in as well. Bernd Schneider is in the pits. This is his routine stop.
Penultimate stop, or will he?
The penultimate stop. There will be this stop, one more, and that should see him to the flag. Getting in. Yeah, that's what we understood to be the case. He will take it to the final stop, and then there will be one more stint after that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not the Nissan, because there's no white decaling on the Nissan. That's not the 98, because the 98 is in the pits, not being towed. Go ahead and talk us through the outlook for that, John.
There is the lap 57, another one of the local teams that are doing so well.
I stand corrected, Phil.
It is the Nissan. It is the Nissan. Well done, Phil. They've stuck a white sticker on the front of that since qualifying, haven't they? Right in front of the camera.
Oh, yep, there it is on the fender.
Yes. I'm
not worried.
The Honda coming through, and there is the car that's under tow. The RGN Motorsport machine, Peter Pezzera. Bob Neville has, and his guys have worked very, very hard. 62. So you can see a rather second-hand BMW. Martin Kroll driving the A4 class winner. The Kuiper Racing E46. 38th overall. very few cars at this stage are looking pristine.
To say the least.
Depends what you mean by pristine, John.
Well, not concours, at least.
I know exactly what you mean.
Battle scarred.
The race leader, having had his pit stop, Jeroen Bleekemolen back at the wheel, is safely on his way. He's up at the fueling station at the moment and will rejoin. He'll remain in the lead. Meanwhile, the battle between the Porsche and the Aston Martin, 18-15, Martin Ragginger and Stefan Mucker continues. And I would suggest that within the next two or three laps, that is going to be a battle nose to tail, door handle to door handle on the racetrack.
Okay.
Indeed, they are going down the back straightaway now, and both of them are, you can see them both. There's now less than a second between them, I would suspect, as they make their way through the right-hand turn 10, then through the sweeping left-hander up the hill towards the hairpin turn 12 that will then unleash them down the short chute, the flat-out left-hander turn 13, and then the hairpin turn 14, which is a great overtaking opportunity. Let's see if Stefan Mucker can get close enough to take a stab this lap around.
Second place in here for there, the 79 BMW hatchback. Four-door. Great little race cars those 1 Series make. It perhaps was, people turned their nose up at it slightly when it was first introduced, but certainly they have proved their worth in the VLN and some of the longer races as well. So we have an hour and 48 minutes still to run. Jeroen Bleekemolen is holding that almost 8-minute lead on Marco Ciocci.
1.6 seconds now separating third and fourth. Martin Ragginger in the number 8 Porsche doing a 2:05.3, so that's pretty good, staying to his reference time. But Stefan Mucker at a 2:03.590.
You just get the feeling as they're going into turn number 7 now that Mucker, now you can see the back of that red and white Porsche is really beginning to close in. It's about 3 seconds between those two cars as they head onto the back straight, and there's an inevitability about the fact that the Kraft AMR V12 Vantage will end up in third place in a month or two's time. Is the Aston Martin. He's right with them.
And Ragginger's caught traffic at the absolutely worst time.
Coming up the incline from turn 10. And it is quite steep here. Get your braking spot on for the hairpin. Yeah, Ragginger's in strife now because he has, I don't think, got the grunt of the 6-litre V12 Aston that's in behind him. And Stefan Mucker is on full attack mode
there.
Wow, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
He'll be well below or well above rather his target time with all of that traffic there. It was a 2:05.3 from Ragginger. You can't ask any more than that of him. Well, apart from 0.3 of a second, but you don't want to be that close. Mucker was a 2:03.5 into the final corner. Mucker takes way more speed to the apex. Ragginger quite clever there, just stood up the Aston in the middle. Wow!
Oh boy, see ya.
And the look at the dirt and sand damage to that camera lens. That is what
deal done.
Yeah. I just wonder if Ragginger lifted there because that seemed so easy. Well, Ragginger did a 5.2. He had to lift. He could not accelerate. So even in the traffic, Ragginger had done almost his reference time, and Stefan Mucker had done a 3.8, so there was no holding him back. Yeah. Smart thinking from Ragginger rather. He is some 4 laps ahead of next in the A6. Let's have another look again here as he comes to the line. Watch the Aston Martin pull hard to the right. Yeah, that's a lift. You don't just get that kind of performance difference in the middle of a straight like that, Paul.
But perfect judgment in order to keep to his reference lap time, because now we're in the last 2 hours of the race. Even if you haven't used up all your jokers, within the last 2 minutes, within the last 2 hours of the race, any times done underneath the minimum reference lap time will result in a drive-through penalty. Down there in the pits, we can see the car number 143 being worked upon, which is the Optimum Motorsport Ginetta. This is Joe Osborne, Lee Mole's car, and it was running in 8th place in SP3. It's been a fairly long pit stop, very nearly 6 minutes they've been stationary there, and they've had various problems which Joe Osborne was telling us earlier on. They couldn't quite trace. It was all to do with fuel feed, as far as I remember, and getting the fuel from the tank into the injectors where they needed to be, and that was what was interrupting their progress. The other thing that I was going to mention, that I don't think we've mentioned before, is that the McLaren has got going again. Remember the car that was stranded up there, number 17. Phil Quaife has taken it back out. It dropped from, it was in 7th place, and it's dropped now down outside the top 10. It's now 11th place, 6th place in the A6 Pro category, but seems to be running well, lapping at the moment underneath 2 minutes 05, which it's entitled to do, and going very well indeed. So good news there for the McLaren, Jim.
And as far as overall position goes, there are 2 AM cars in front of him for the overall. He's going to be able to lap faster than they are if he can keep it on the racetrack. So there's a possibility for him to climb back into the top 10 before the end of this thing.
Yes, just the battle is on between himself and the Dragon Racing Audi R8 LMS number 81, which is a car that's
Pierre Arret behind the wheel of that.
And just looking in the pit lane, the Barwell Aston Martin has just come into the pits. This is the 145 Aston Martin.
It's not
coming
right,
to
is
the
it?
pits.
I don't think it left the showroom
with only 3 wheels.
It's not right, that, Paul, is it?
No, there's usually a rubber bit there, isn't there, John? Yeah, I know enough about racing to know about these things, you know. Don't fool me.
There's no flies on you, Trustwell, I tell you. That's very impressive. I can see why you get the good gigs.
You think I only know about computers.
There is the second of the Black Falcon cars, Andreas Simonsen. Could have been a different story for those guys. Down in 8th position, 5th in Pro. We're running pretty much in lockstep with the lead car early on. And there is Jeroen Bleekemolen. With just an hour and 3/4 to go. And now it's about really just doing everything properly. There are a few places that can still be decided. For most people, it's just hitting your marks and doing it.
Just see how Jeroen Bleekemolen was impacted, that implies contact, but affected there by the 153 car, which it was trying to lap, and it all was a little bit tight, but Bleekemolen kept a cool head, didn't dive up the inside, didn't jump over the curbs, just put the brakes on, was careful, keep the car away from the curbs, and just continue on his way. It'll be a much slower lap time, but when you're sitting on a 4.5 minute advantage, you're well in there. John, news of that Aston Martin.
Well, that's not just a wheel that's been lost. There's a disc gone.
Disc. Wonder if he had
the whole
disc explode.
That's completely disappeared. I would say that has been
Does that happen to Johnny O'Connell? Remember at Sebring?
At Sebring, turn 18.
Turn 18.
Sunset.
Spun him around backwards.
That was a big hit.
He went from driver to passenger.
In about a 10th of a second.
Just a note on that number 2 car, which we were talking about a moment ago, John, Andreas Simonsen. He really only lost that time because of a puncture and the ensuing damage that puncture caused, and that was all it was. Lost it all that time.
Tom Kimmer-Smith is down with Nick Damon.
Tom, I've actually said this to more than one driver, but aren't cars supposed to have four wheels?
Yeah, so they are. You know, we've been running pretty strong. We had a little incident during the night, but you know, we're looking pretty good to finish P2. But for the last couple of hours, we've been nursing a diff problem, and you know, just right at the end towards my last stint, the front left wheel fell off. So you know,
that's a beautiful matter of fact. Yeah, the front left wheel fell off. You know, it's like me saying, "Oh, we'll get some fuel."
Well, you know, we're nursing the car home, so we weren't really pushing, and you know, it's really disappointing to have that fall off at that point, because the Ginetta that was chasing us down had problems, so you know, we had a comfortable position to finish P4 there, and you didn't know what was going to happen in front of us, so it's slightly disappointing, but the boys are going to try and put it back together and hopefully get us back out there.
You've driven everything, well, almost with everybody recently, but what's it like driving with your dad?
It's hard. You know, there's always rivalry between us, but you know, we're very fortunate. One, I can do racing as a job, but you know, to get the opportunity to race with my dad is just brilliant.
And your thoughts on Dubai and the 24-hour race here?
You know, I love Dubai. I was actually on holiday with my family just before Christmas, so you know, it's something special for my family and me, and you know, hopefully I'll be back next year.
So I'm hoping the car will be back out as soon as possible. Thanks very much.
The young man is nothing if not honest. I couldn't imagine. Seriously, I could not imagine doing this with my father. I mean, I loved him dearly, but you know, we used to argue and fight like cats and dogs.
If you didn't see the pictures there, you would have heard it in his voice. But when Nick said, "What's it like racing with your dad?" there was a bit of a screw up on the face there. That was really funny.
Do you know what we were saying
on a chalkboard?
About the emotions coming closer to the surface with the fatigue. And
spot on.
I mean, if Nick had pushed Tom there, we could have had him right where
we could have caused a family row as well.
The Aston Martin, number 15, such good work done by Stefan Mucker to get the car into third place. It's now had a pit stop. It was a quick and a very efficient pit stop. It was in the pits for just 2 minutes. It's still there in the pits because it's being refueled, and that has allowed the Porsche back into third place. No wonder he moved over and let the guy past. He knew that he had more fuel on board and was able to drive further on his tank full of fuel than you can. Me and my nice economical Porsche, and you and your big fat truck thirsty Aston Martin.
Don't forget that Nick Damon is the man that made Michael Schumacher cry in a Formula One interview. So, you know, just get to the nub of it there with Tom
garlic breath. That wasn't.
That was real tears in Brazil.
You know, John, every time I look down in the pits, the Divas pit lane gets pinker and pinker.
Well, listen, we've been talking about ALS with these. With the Divas raising the awareness for this, and I've just been told something that I didn't know, but there's it hits quite a lot of people, and it's a very debilitating disease.
Yeah, 350,000 people a year.
And raising awareness for it is great. And here's something that's just come in from Rob Janer, who's one of our listeners and viewers at Rob Race Marshals. He said, "Great to be watching the race with my 5-year-old. Asking lots of questions, and she wants to race in the pink BMW too." And you know, cool. If that's what the racing divas are doing, they're winning their class. They're genuine. There's nothing gimmicky about what they are doing here.
Girl power.
These are racing drivers, and you know, that's start, beginning, and end of it. And that is, I think they'll be pleased to hear that. I really do. And
great tweet.
22 hours I've been following this race, says Track Time Audio, loving the coverage, tweeting us at @Specutainment. Interactivity is the way to go in endurance racing, and well done to the organisers, Creventic. Remind you again of the www.24h2by website, which has been inundated this weekend with visitors. It's not easy there, are the Divas. Not easy to. Not everyone gets endurance racing. Certainly not everybody gets the very longest forms of endurance racing in the 24-hour races, but if you do, you take so much out of it.
It can be an acquired taste. I mean,
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
It can be an acquired taste.
It's like Marmite. You either love it, or you hate it.
Branson pickle.
I rather think of it as a sportsman's soap opera, because what you get is something that draws you in, and you only have to watch a couple of episodes of any soap opera, and I never touch any of them for this very reason, is inevitably you get drawn in by them and you want to know what happens next, and that's why I never go to sleep, because I want to know what happens next. And as I say, you don't get sportsman's soap operas, but this is what it turns into. And if you like it, you get another episode in a couple of weeks' time in another place.
Yeah, and when you talk about reality television, what is more reality television than what we've seen in the last 21 and a half, 22 hours?
And to expound on Paul's point, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. At what point did the three of us, all three of us had intentions to take a break, catch a little sleep, everything. But at some point, without even discussing it amongst ourselves, all three of us made the unconscious decision to just stay up and do the whole race.
Yeah. Anybody thinking
we've taken some meal breaks and that sort of stuff, but basically we've been up the whole time doing the whole race, and it's been awesome.
Anybody noticed it's lunchtime? I'm not hungry. Are you hungry?
No. If you hadn't mentioned that to me,
cupcakes and Curry Newton helps. Thank you.
Well, yeah, true that. Did you have one of those, Paul? They're outstanding.
The 127 Nissan coming through. This is the better placed of the two Nissans. Lucas Ordóñez with a 2:13.8, and there is the Spaniard, the Stilo helmet,
the speedy Spaniard.
He has been just a great ambassador for the Nissan GT Academy with PlayStation. The first winner in 2009, when something like 80 or 100,000, I think, were entered, and rather than the 3 million or whatever it was this year.
Does he still have his skills?
Oh yeah.
His thumbs still work?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Darren Turner is now out at the wheel of the Aston Martin, albeit back in fourth place and once again chasing that pesky Porsche. But the Porsche, that is going to start running out of fuel now. Darren Turner has enough fuel not to get into the flag, but he is theoretically allowed to take the car through to the flag. He's allowed to drive for 2 hours, and that will take him through to the checkered flag. He'll have to stop at some point to make a splash and dash, but apart from that, Darren Turner can chase it through. Martin Ragginger, on the other hand, in the number 8 car, even though he is 3.5 minutes up the road, which is a lap and a half around this circuit, he's going to have to make a pit stop for fuel, tyres, change of driver, which is going to delay him, and we're going to possibly have another sight of Darren Turner in the Aston Martin this time, closing down on whoever goes into the Porsche, the number 8 Fach Autotech Porsche, after Martin gets out of it.
Problem for the number 19, Hideki Yamauchi, the Japanese Owners Club, Japanese Lamborghini Owners Club, coming in with a flat tyre, the tyre staying on the rim there, but just deflated front left of that. And we've also got the number 140 Aston Martin in the pit lane, which has come to a dead stop. Not really close to anywhere. There's the 6th place car, Hideki Yamauchi, and get it pulled in and out of the main area. That left front looks fine from here, but being assured by Nick that there's no air in that car, and the 140 team are dashing down the pit lane to meet it. No, there's one very resigned team member walking gently down. Is he the member of the team?
These are the ones.
Yes, he is. No, he's not. He's walked past him.
These are the dashing ones.
Oh, here's the dashing ones coming down.
Oh, dead run.
That is a good sprint.
Commitment.
Good sprint.
Bucking for a bonus.
Yeah. That car had run well up. had its trials and tribulations. It's 10th now in SP3, but a measure of the fact that even 10th in class, and it may well be stuck in gear, that car. So I'm going to opine clutch problems and stuck in gear. And whilst we're watching the Aston Martin number 15, or at least we were before we went back on board with Sheila Verschure in the Divas, let's go down to Nick Damon, where the managing director of Aston Martin Racing, John Gore, himself a racer, is with Nick Damon. And I have a feeling, Nick, that John will be getting itchy feet here and wishes he was actually taking part.
Mr. Hindhoff is hypothesising at this point you'd rather be in the car.
No, that's definitely not true. That's definitely not true.
At what point did this race get really serious and you decided we want this podium, so we're going to just rotate Stefan and Darren for the rest of the day?
About a week ago, actually, when we decided to bring Stefan out as well as Darren, to be honest with you.
I mean, it was very fair. At the beginning of the race, we saw Darrell, we saw Frank and the rest of the team, but is it really the case where we get the sharp end the last 6 hours, the WEC distance, and you want your top guys in just giving you everything?
Yeah, I think so. Look, this is the first 24-hour race this team has done, and obviously these guys are doing the Asian Le Mans series with 2 GT3 cars. And that's the main reason we came out to give them big support this year, to help them through a 24-hour race. And yeah, you're right. Look, consistency makes a massive difference in 24-hour races, and that's what the pro drivers can really make a difference at. So that's why we put them into the end.
It's interesting. Obviously, Aston Martin here, you're very much in a way copying or mimicking what the Porsche have done with a performance car based on single platform. What BMW are now going to do as well with the Z4, because you've got the VH platform, the GT3 version. That's your racing platform around the world. So this is its first 24-hour, yeah?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, all cars are on the Vantage platform now. In fact, the unique thing about Aston, we've also got the GT4 on it as well. So there's the GT4, the GTE, and the GT3, and that was a deliberate decision. But you're right about the GT3 as well. Look, last year was really the development year for the GT3, as it were, and this is the first real year where we're really trying to demonstrate the car, so this is the first race of it, and the car's run fantastically well, and the team have done a real brilliant job.
I mean, how important is it for you to show well here in Dubai, or just be here in Dubai as a manufacturer?
Yeah, I think it is very important. First of all, it's the start of the season. It's a particularly tough race. It's got some strange rules for sure on the Code 60, but it's still a really tough race. It's hot weather. It's dusty conditions. So for sure, it's important to demonstrate the car, and also in this part of the world.
I understand you just had a big deal in the States with Kevin Butler. Will that see them at Le Mans, or is it just an ALMS deal?
Yeah, I think, I was actually speaking to both Gerard and Vincent yesterday from the ACO, and for sure, there's going to be a bigger Aston program in the WEC this year, and at Le Mans expect us to ask for entries for both TRG, who are doing the full American Le Mans series, and also this team here, who are doing the Asian Le Mans series. So it would make sense for the ACO to support them when they're supporting them as well. And this was the first 24-hour race they're doing, but they've certainly got eyes on Le Mans in the future.
Porsche always say that their motorsport makes money for the company. Is this what Aston are doing, or is it still a halo project for the road car sales?
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason why Aston Martin go racing is because it's effective marketing. That's primarily the reason. But that's primarily the reason why the works team and the factory team go racing. So we've got two bits to the business, which is obviously the factory team and then the customer team, but we like to give proper factory support to the customer teams too.
I've got a serious team manager question for you now. You do realise if you finish in the overall top 3, one of your drivers has to get on a camel. Who's it going to be?
Oh, I think that's probably not Darren or Stefan.
Oh, make it Darren, please.
Yeah, please. I'm sure he wouldn't be happy about that.
John, thank you very much, and best of luck for the next hour and a half. Thank you.
The Aston Martin from the Barwell Motorsport team, keeping the theme on Aston Martin. Remember, we saw that car coming in with 3 wheels and a disc missing as well on that car. Well, the teams worked like Trojans and got the car back out onto the circuit. It's on its way now back up to the refueling station and will be on the track very shortly indeed. It's, as I say, being refueled at the moment, and then we'll see who's taking it over. It was Tom Kimber-Smith, remember, who was in the car, and he's gone on its way now, and as I say, we'll see who will be in the car when we get it up on the screen. But good news for that Aston Martin that it's back out, albeit quite a long way down. It's 4th place in its class, placed 24th overall. So that's that Aston Martin. Looking as well for cars at the top end, the top little group that are due in for pit stops. Number 16 in second place, the Ferrari of the AF Quarter team in the hands of Marco Ciocci. That will be due into the pits pretty shortly, I reckon. He's currently on his 36th lap of his stint, and that's further than that car has gone for a good long time. Also in the pits at the moment, the number 14 Mercedes of the De Lorenzi racing team. That's in for what looks like a routine stop for driver change and new tyres, John.
Dario Paletto brought that car in, and if you're watching in the UK at the moment, where snow is just beginning to fall over the Midlands, East Wales and in the northern part of the home counties, don't you wish you'd come here to watch 24-hour racing, as the leader Jerome Blake-Molan has his lead cut to 4.5 minutes. But of course, Marco Ciocci owes us a pit stop. He's been in the second place car for 1 hour and 18 minutes. Martin Ragginger, 1 hour and 16 in the third place car.
That Porsche
Blake-Molan having to concentrate very, very hard from here on in.
Porsche, though, John, the Martin Ragginger car, will go a bit further than the Ferrari will. So although they're both on very similar times since their last pit stop, the Porsche uses less fuel than the Ferrari does and will go a little bit further. Not a lot, but when you get to this point in the race, you start, as Jim was suggesting earlier on, you start counting back from the end of the race. And because the time that Martin has spent in the car is almost the same as the time to the end of the race, you kind of split that down the middle and say, okay, Martin will do this half, and then the last section of the race will be done by whoever the Fach Auto Racing team decide to put into the car, which quite sure whose turn it will. Could well be Jens Richter, next one in.
But I would put fourth, Paul, and argue with me if I'm wrong here, with 1 hour and 23 minutes to go, they're now in their window.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, they could come in at any time. All I'm suggesting is that it will be fair that Ragginger do the same amount of time
I just wanted to confirm they were in the window.
They are definitely in the window. The next stop will be its last stop, and in comes Ciocci now for his last pit stop of the race, and Martin Ciocci will hand over, I'm guessing, we'll have this confirmed, to Mika Salo.
It's Mika Salo, the blue helmet, light blue helmet with white. And Salo will have been slapped around the head several times, fed some red meat, and called a lot of names, and then thrown into the car.
And he'll still be cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
But he'll still plant his right foot.
Yeah. He only has one speed, and it is maximum attack in that very Scandinavian way.
Flat.
Oh yes, all here is flat. Everything is flat. So they will need a splash of fuel, of course, so that car will go out and turn hard right at the end of the pit lane. Jerome Blake-Molan then has the unenviable task of taking this number one through to its final stop, Jim.
You're probably going to swat me when I say this, but I take a little bit of umbrage at what you said earlier, that there are no pristine race cars out there.
Huh? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll buy it for $1. Actually, it cost them slightly more, I would have thought.
I bet it did.
Hey, but now, hang on though, worth every penny though. You have turned round a potential nightmare without even being able to get to the start of the race to defending your championship and Jerome Blakemole potentially becoming the most successful driver in this race. Marco Ciocci was chasing them down out of the AF Corsa number 16. Nick Damon is down in the Ferrari pit.
Marco, it's nice to see you looking a bit warmer. You were quite cool over the night period. It's a lot more hard work now.
So after a cool night, now in the morning we work a lot because in the early morning we had a problem with the brakes, and our race to try to win it's finished. So now we are very carefully to use the car, and this is the most difficult part at the moment because it's never easy go slowly without making mistakes, and but in this case we are happy to be there.
I mean, how bad was the car when the brakes had a problem?
It was a very bad moment because in the main straight in the back, I completely lost the pedal and risked to crash into the wall. And for the rest of the stint, was pretty easily drive alone. It was very, very dangerous in between the other cars because if you need brake hard, you cannot do it. And so we lost a lot of times, and we understood that maybe lost also the possibility to fight to try to win, but Mercedes made a very good job. And
so Mika Sano's got in. I take it this will be the last driver run, so is he just told just to get it home and that's it?
Yeah, Mika is out, and I think that is just manage the car from now until the end and be safe and enjoy the last stint.
Marco, best of luck. Thank you very much indeed.
Not sure you enjoy the last stint. You start hearing all kinds of weird and wonderful noises. There is Martin Ragginger in third position. He'll be coming into the pits shortly. Only 2 drivers have won this event twice. It's been this is the 8th edition, and in 2006 and 7 Philip Peter and Dieter Questa were in the BMW. That would have been the Dunlop Motorsport car, I think. I haven't got the figures in front of me, but I'm pretty certain that was the debut of the Z4 and previously possibly the M3. It might have been the Z4 both times. I should have really looked that up. I apologise, but I'm doing that from very tired memory. So they've got 2 first places. Claudia Hurtgen has got a win, a second and a third in respectively 2011, 2009 and 2010. Jerome Blakemole has got a win and a second. So if he was to bring that #1 car home as the victor here, he would have 2 wins and a second, and that would make him the most successful driver if you were adding up golds, silvers and bronzes
That's right.
in this event. And it's Mercedes-Benz. I mean, this is an important area and an important race for Mercedes-Benz.
When we were talking before we interviewed Marco, the point you were making was it's worth every penny because a victory here is important to Mercedes. Well, I think this year it's doubly important. Last year they swept the top 3, and it was the first major endurance win for this car. To come back here and then fall on your face, you know, when you set records in drag racing, when you set records in track and field, when you set records in land speed areas, you have to do what's called backing it up. You got to go the other direction in the land speed records. You've got to run within a certain time the next time in drag racing and track and field. To come here and to repeat with the same team and the same drivers, that is making a statement, and it is worth every penny. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Okay, win on Saturday, sell on Sunday. And Monday.
And Tuesday. And and it's a local team as well. You know, Phil was making, Phil's one of the guys who's been helping us out here, one of the many people who've been helping us out here at the track. As here comes the Black Falcon's other car, which is the Porsche, the TMD friction car, which was leading its class at one stage. It's in second.